Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
And here we are. It's a big three on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Why do people say Happy Hump Day?
I don't know.
Stupid thing to say.
Because
I just said it.
It's downhill from here.
But
Weekends is in sight. You've already fought the uphill battle. Now it's down.
But we always say Hump Day at the beginning of Wednesday when it's really not Hump Day till the middle of at the middle of the show is really Hump Day.
Yes.
Right? Because that's halfway through our work week.
I guess that does.
I don't know.
Yeah.
When is Hump Day for Kevin Stefanski? Kevin Stefanski, we're going to hear from him a lot. He was on the Pardon My Take podcast. Why was that guy wearing sunglasses, by the way, for the whole podcast? Is that his thing?
It's his thing. He just wears sunglasses.
Okay. I am always weirded out when people wear sunglasses indoors. I think it's odd. But anyway, we're going to hear a bunch of Kevin Stefanski, including some of this.
Steve, take it.
What's the dumbest play you've ever created that either did or didn't work?
I mean, it happens every week where you get on the board and you start putting stuff up and you're like, that margin of smart to dumb is so fine. And like, for instance, Andy Reid, first ballot Hall of Fame coach, Super Bowl winner, unbelievable. Like the stuff he does in the red zone, that like I can't do that. You know, you have to win you have to have a ring before you do a ring around the rosy.
Yes.
And that
Candy
stuff.
ass.
As fun as that is for the players. For us, when it comes to trick plays, that's always like that fine line. Like if this doesn't work, I'm going to boo myself.
Yeah.
And there was a game this year playing the Bengals on Sunday night or Monday night. Maybe it was, Sunday night.
I think
Monday
the one
night.
You won?
It was Halloween.
Yeah, Monday night.
It was Monday night Halloween, and we had a pass that Amari Cooper threw. And it was we handed the ball to Nick Chubb. He pitched it to Amari. Amari's rolling out. We had a receiver running down the boundary. Amari, their linebacker sniffed it out, is getting ready to hit Amari. Amari's trying to throw it away, and it goes directly to Von Bell, like between the 2 and the 4, like perfect interception right to him. And I'm like, the boost, I wanted to boo myself.
Yeah.
But I probably should have known. We try to give those trick plays names, and we called that Michael Myers.
Oh,
for Halloween.
I like that.
Maybe don't
Spooky.
name plays after like serial killers.
Yeah, that got
that
you.
That was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
All right, well, we were all apoplectic about that play, guys. That's just a taste of what we're going to hear from Stefanski later.
Hey, look at this, man. Kevin Stefanski, congratulations to you and your organization. Obviously, you listen to your boy G. Bush. Obviously, you listen to the big homie over here because I've been telling you, it looks like you guys just went to a seminar. You went to a seminar about interpersonal communications and about how well you can come off if you just give people a little bit.
Making people laugh.
Make people laugh. You can disarm people. And look, now you're going on a podcast. Matter of fact, you even skipped the media. You just went to the podcast world and you're telling jokes. Your beard is lined up. You don't got a hat on. You're just out here just being a regular old, he's a coach's coach now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we got to get, now that it's the new and improved Kevin Stefanski, I'd love to have him on the show.
Yeah,
definitely come on the show
with him, right?
Yeah.
Just sitting here with us.
That's the highest podcast version there is.
You talk about a laid-back show. Come on out here. We got some things.
That is the #1 sports podcast in the world, by the way.
How?
They do stupid numbers.
Those guys are popular.
They do
you know what? I can
stupid
criticize them, but I haven't really listened. I don't say that to be provocative or that they stink or anything. Obviously, they don't stink because they're very popular. I haven't heard it.
They combine sports and comedy in a way that really no one else does.
Well, good for them.
They're big, and I'm a big PMT fan. The best thing they do is what you just saw. They make guys who you don't open up a lot to regular media situations feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
And the first thing, and we'll play this later, but the very first thing that happened in that interview was, "Hey, Coach, nice to meet you. I want to read you a tweet I had about you from 2 years ago," and he called him an effing idiot.
Right.
And you could hear it.
Well,
it came off really good.
And I think we do that well. It's much easier to do that with somebody in person.
Yes.
Well, we've had people in studio. Like, if you're talking to somebody on camera, it's a little harder to do that, although we try. Certainly when you're on the radio interviewing somebody, it's really impossible to get that kind of connection. It's much easier when someone's in person. Speaking of in person, Tyvis is here.
He's back.
He's
What
back.
happened, bro? Where you been at?
He's been parachuting. He's been
all
power
that.
sailing.
Parasailing.
Whoa, come on now. I was zip lining, first of all, which was an incredible experience. It was something that I never got to do before, and I really enjoyed it. You know, the first time you do it, because we had 13 zip lines we had to do, and it was one of those events that I didn't sign
What do you
up.
mean you had to do?
I had to do it because the crew signed me up.
What if you were like too scared to do it?
I don't know. You would have had to just
You
face
could
your
have
fear.
refused, right?
I don't know. See, I'm a man. I'm a man of the people. Okay, if you want
G was the man of the people.
he's the people's champ.
I'm not getting peer pressure.
If they wanted me to do it, then I'm gonna do it. So we did 13 zip lines. The first one, it's the thing, okay?
Yeah.
As I've gotten older in my life, I've become more of a why not guy. As a kid, I used to be like, oh no, that's cautious. Now I'm like, let's do it. You know, I go skydiving. Let's do it.
You choose a time that you got two little kids to be a why not guy.
Yeah, you gotta teach your kids to be fearless. You know,
Okay.
if they wanted something in life,
Were the kids with you on the?
No. This is the first time me and my wife had a getaway without the kids since they was born.
They stay with her parents?
Yeah,
nice.
It was nice.
That's nice.
It was real nice. Me and her really got to rekindle. You know,
nice.
not that the flame was gone, but we got to show.
rekindle
We
it.
got to show that the love is still there.
Tyvis was in there getting tied up. She's like, yeah, let me show what I learned.
Oh, man. On that note, Mikey, a man who's been tied up more than anybody I know. Here he is, Mikey McNuggets.
Yeah, we're talking about some spicy stuff. Bulls Bet tonight brings the heat, if you know what I mean. And it's brought to us by Bet Rivers. Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game now. Right now, not in 2 minutes, right now.
Yes.
Is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook. When you use deposit code SPORTS, you'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. It's free money. Get on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball and hockey to help you win big. Check out BetRivers.com. Download the Bet Rivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts.
And by the way, I'm doing 2 podcasts for Bet Rivers. So the bullpen with Adam the Bull has moved over to Bet Rivers. That's my national sports podcast, which will be out every Wednesday and Friday. I'll have the first one out this afternoon. I recorded it this morning. And then the Bull in Cleveland is every Monday and eventually be every Thursday as well. So we're doing 2 podcasts for Bet Rivers. So I'm excited about that. Here's the bet of the day. Mike, yesterday's bet was a season long, so no winner or loser. I'm taking the Heat on the money line. I don't even know why the Cavs are favored in this game, honestly. The Cavs have been terrible on the road. Miami's won 21 of their last 22 at home. Does anybody, Mikey, can you explain why the Cavs are a slight favorite in this game?
I think just because overall they're probably a slightly better team than Miami, but if you're getting plus sign on Miami,
I don't know.
in
I
Miami,
didn't understand that. I was like,
I was
like, is there a key guy for Miami not playing? And Jimmy Butler is playing.
Not that I know. My buddy works for the Heat, and he didn't tell me anything. So.
How is Kevin Love doing since he's been there?
Very
Up and down.
I actually think he's questionable for tonight, Kevin Love. But obviously,
Bruce ribs.
Well, I mean, if he's out on the floor, whoever's checking him or whoever Kevin Love's checking is getting the ball from the Cavs because they know what it is.
Guys, yesterday was the deadline to do the franchise contract, and we'll get to that with what happened with Lamar in a second. But I got to tell you a quick story about what happened to me yesterday. So, speaking of basketball, my son comes home from school yesterday. And he's like, "Dad, can we go play basketball?" And I'm like, "All right." You know, I was coaching.
You hooping?
But I can't really play basketball. I'm not in great shape. But I'm like, okay, my son wants to play. We'll go down. So he wanted to play outside. I'm like, it's freaking freezing out here. I'm not playing outside. I'm not 20 years old anymore. So we go to the rec center that I belong to in my town, and the gym's pretty empty. At first, the gym's empty. It's just him and I in there. So we're playing one-on-one, right?
To what? What was
to 11.
Okay.
All right? No 2-pointers.
Oh,
not that I'm shooting.
Oh, you went straight over.
I'm not shooting that anyway. But anyway, he did good, but I beat him 11-9 and 11-8 in the 2 games.
Okay. So
Once it got close, I would play a little harder on defense.
As you should.
But I'm not in great shape, so I'm not moving around that
Was
fast.
you following your son? Was you following him?
Well, that was part of the game. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, basically, to me. He can foul me. The only thing I made him stop doing is he was pulling down my arms while I was trying to dribble. I'm like, you can't do that. But he's like basically punching me in the back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all kinds of stuff to try to get the ball. But I was using my body, and I was pushing him to the basket. So anyway, but I can't shoot worth to save my life, but I would get the rebound, put it back, get the rebound.
Yeah.
But eventually I beat him. But here's the thing. Quick funny story. So eventually, as we're there, some of these kids are getting home from school. They're coming to the gym. And there was like this group of young teenagers. I don't know how old they were. If I had to guess, I'd say they were like 14, 15, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bunch of boys, like 8 or 10 of them. And I heard a couple times one kid like scream. And it sounded like a girl screaming. And I don't say that because girls are more likely to scream. It just sounded like a girl's voice screaming.
Like a pitch, higher pitch.
So eventually one of the kids was on the sideline, and he was warming up near where my son and I were playing. And I said to this guy, I was like, is there something wrong with this kid that he's screaming like that? It's like, I thought maybe he was like, he had some sort of mental condition or whatever. He's like, no, he just does that.
He just screams.
And so once I knew there was nothing wrong with him, I was like, okay, well, now he's got to shut the F up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the next time he did it, I walked to their court, and I said, time out, time out, time out. You, 40, I called the kid 49ers because he has a 49er T-shirt on. I said, 49ers, stop screaming. And
he stopped.
He did it like 1 or 2 other times, but he had done it like every 10 seconds, basically.
Oh, man.
Like, what is this kid doing?
That's unacceptable. Come
Unacceptable.
on, man.
While playing the game?
While, like, when he would shoot, or like, it was so weird. I don't know what was happening.
Maybe that was just.
And the other kid, his like buddy was like, or one of the other kids there was like, yeah, it's really annoying, but you know, I don't know.
Maybe he was doing it to like throw off the person's jumper.
I don't know, but I was like, this kid's got to shut the F up already. I don't care if he's a teenager.
Love his energy.
job.
Love his energy. He needs to use it while playing on defense or something like that.
And there was one kid playing, because I watched him play a little bit when we were like between breaks. This one kid was really good. There was all like tall, skinny kids, and this one kid was like breaking ankles with these other kids. I don't know his name, but anyway. Go ahead, Mikey. What do you got?
I'm saying, is he breaking ankles like Lamar Jackson, who may or may not be a Raven next year?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, guys. I talked about this yesterday, how it's so weird how people react to Lamar Jackson. People are like really angry that Lamar Jackson has not been. I don't know why do other people? I can understand Lamar Jackson being angry about the situation.
Yeah.
Maybe even Lamar Jackson's teammates being angry about it. I don't understand why fans are like non-Ravens fans are angry about Lamar Jackson. This is business.
Yeah.
Right? Like people were screaming collusion already. Now, maybe they are like
it could be. It could be.
It might be, but these teams haven't even had a chance. It is weird that within an hour,
1 hour
of him being given the franchise tag, non-exclusive, so teams can negotiate with him, that 4 reports come out about 4 different quarterback-needy teams that are not interested. Now, personally, I don't believe those reports because why does it benefit Atlanta to say that they're interested? You never want to seem overly aggressive, right? Yeah. I think the thing is, though, we could see collusion in this situation. It could happen because it's crazy that these teams wouldn't be interested.
Yeah.
Because Lamar Jackson isn't like worse, the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
But the league, obviously, a lot of these teams were pissed that Watson got all his money guaranteed.
Yeah.
And they don't want that to be a precedent. Now, I don't even think it is a precedent because Kyler Murray didn't get everything guaranteed. Now, all these quarterbacks that just signed the last couple of days, now they're not in that level of quarterback, but Daniel Jones, Geno, and Derek Carr, they didn't get everything guaranteed. I don't know what's going to happen with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert here, who are eligible for extensions now. So they made, but I wonder if you're Lamar, Lamar's obviously feeling pissed at the Ravens. There's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. If I were him, I'd be pissed too. Yeah. If I were the Ravens, I would want to see him one more year because he's been injured. But if I'm Lamar, I'm pissed, for me personally. You wonder if another team did go after him, do you think he would take a big money contract that wasn't 100% guaranteed from another team because that team has not previously insulted him?
Yep. I think he's done. He's played his last game in Baltimore. There's 2 reasons why. He looks at it like this. Hey, I'm 26 years old. I know Kyler Murray didn't get everything guaranteed, but he got 189 guaranteed. He's done nothing. He's like 23 and 24.
Lamar, way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers got $50 million, and he's like 38 or 39.
Now, in fairness, he was coming off an MVP season.
He
Back
was.
to back.
He was. Yeah, but that's a lot of money to guarantee an old guy, right? And so he's looking at it like this. Hey, I'm more accomplished than Deshaun Watson. I haven't missed as many games as Deshaun Watson. I have none of the off-field baggage or anything with Deshaun Watson. And he feels a certain type way because he feels like they playing him twice. Remember when he came out, they said he was a receiver, right? Yep. People weren't going to draft him. He got, if you look at it, he got picked all the way at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
Right.
So he feels some type of way right there. Like, okay, y'all told me I wasn't good. Y'all told me I should play receiver. I came out and proved myself. Not only did I win an MVP, I've won 75% of the games that I played while I've been on the field. I'm the entire offense. You haven't got me any receivers. Matter of fact, you traded my best receiver.
That's true.
And I'm here putting on for the city, and you're upset at me because you want me to come back early from an injury. Well, maybe if you would have gave me my money, I would have considered doing that.
No, he would have.
He would have
come back.
But now it's like, no, you obviously want me. You don't want me to that level. Because here's the thing. If you would have said this about 4 other quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, they'd already signed the deal. Josh Allen would have already signed the deal. Mahomes, all of the big-time quarterbacks, they would have already given him whatever he wanted, and they'd have been on to something different. And here's the thing. It's not like they can't restructure the deal like Deshaun Watson's. It's not like Deshaun Watson's deal is going to cost the Browns not to get nobody. They give you the contract the first year, and they just keep restructuring it. So it's not even a thing where it's going to prohibit the Baltimore Ravens from doing anything. He's just looking at it as principle. Like, y'all ain't even close to where we want to get to, and I feel like you don't value me in that way.
Tyvis?
Well, if you look, it's a lot of ways you can look at it. They're mad at Lamar for taking the business aspect, and then in return they took the business aspect with giving him the non-exclusive franchise tag or whatever it's called.
You guys think he didn't play in that playoff game because he hadn't gotten paid?
No, I think he didn't play. I think he could have. He could have played. Now, would he have been Lamar Jackson? Absolutely not. But if I'm paid and my money's secure, what's the harm of going out there and at least giving the threat to the other team that I'm still there? They still have to game plan for me because you don't know what Lamar you're going to get.
Fair.
So that's the part. If he was paid, he probably would have went out there and played. The fact that he wasn't paid, I'm not about to go out there and risk getting hurt even more. Like, that makes no sense. So he took the business part. And now they responded by doing the business thing by saying, hey, if somebody else want to give us 2 first-round picks for this guy, we'll take it. And then Baltimore, on top of that, they went to the playoffs this year. Obviously, he missed a nice chunk of this season. That defense is always going to keep them in games. If somebody's going to give Baltimore 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson, they should take those 2 first-round picks, get the rest of that offense, get those wide receivers together, and then address the quarterback situation next year. And I think that's the smart way to do. But I'm not mad at both sides. I think both sides are doing the right thing business-wise.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not like the Lamar situation is one of the most unique situations we've ever seen in the NFL, because when he's right, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the
just
NFL.
take his first couple of games. He was unbelievable.
Right, but the problem is, since he won the MVP, he hasn't played consistently at that level.
You know why? Because his running backs hasn't been good. So what's been happening is when he was at an MVP level, he had 2 good running backs, and it was the threat of the run game and trying to stop him in the run game and the passing game. When you don't got that, he's taking everything on his shoulders. Now I'm the main quarterback and running back, so that's why he's not being able to finish these seasons.
But that was the case in 21. I agree with you, but in 20 he had his running back.
Was J.K. playing?
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins came back somewhere during the middle of the season. He came back.
And then this year they had a good running game.
Gus got hurt, and J.K. wasn't 100%.
No, but he played well at the end. Well, I guess by that point,
yeah.
But listen, it's fair to talk about the wide receivers, but independently of that, like if you because I'm so obsessed with fantasy football, and I've had Lamar on one of my main fantasy teams every year.
Me too.
And because the Ravens play in the AFC North, I watch almost every Ravens game. You do too. Clearly watching him, even when he was healthy the last 2 years, he wasn't as good. That doesn't mean he was bad. It just means he wasn't as good as the guy we saw win an MVP. At least in my opinion, watching him play all the time. So when you look at Lamar, part of me says, well, I got to pay him because he's better than 3/4 of the quarterbacks in the league. He's, as you said, our entire offense, like the Ravens' offense will be absolute trash next year. Trash.
It's interesting, though, because now they have a new offensive coordinator who's an air raid type of guy.
But they have no quarterback, no wide receivers.
Yeah, they ain't got nothing.
They got a nice tight end and decent running backs, pretty good running backs. But on the other hand, if I'm a team, I'm like, well, he's missed the end of the season 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't played quite as well. I'd love to see him put together one more full year before I pay him a ton of money, especially because, like with Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones not nearly as good as Lamar Jackson.
Not at all.
I would have never wanted to pay Daniel Jones when he got paid. But at least
that guy in behind the glass he might have been a little bit forward.
Right, because if you look at the contract, the Giants can get out of his deal after 2 years. Essentially, he's got a 2-year tryout.
Yeah.
And in 2 years, the Giants will decide, yes, he's our guy, and now we got him by that point. If he continues to get better, we got him at a decent rate for the last 2 years. And if he's not our guy, well, we were going to at least keep him for one more year anyway. They would have franchised him or whatever. So we only had to pay him for 1 extra year. But in Lamar's case, even though his baseline is much higher than Daniel Jones, like with the Watson contract, if Watson ends up being a disaster here, that contract's a disaster because they can't get out of it. And it will be the same thing if you're locked in long term. But the high and the low of Lamar from like when he's right to when he's injured and has missed so much time, and his game tends, the more you run, the more you're going to get hurt.
Correct.
I mean, no matter who you are. And you even look at Cam Newton, right? Like Cam Newton, who's built like a Mack truck.
Yeah.
But he ran a lot.
He did.
And look at him. His career went completely off the hill.
RG3.
But at least Cam Newton was good for a while.
Yeah.
RG3 was good for 1 year.
Yeah.
Like Cam Newton was good for, 8 years, 10 years?
But to be fair on this one, though, with the Lamar thing, it's not just him. When you look at the injury of the Baltimore Ravens, their wide receivers get hurt every year.
That's true.
At some point, that organization has to look at the strength coach and say, what are we doing that we can't stay healthy? I think they were one of the most guys on IR this past season.
Well,
right?
and the year before,
their
whole defense.
That's what I'm saying. So at some point, you got to look at the strength staff and say, what are we doing in the offseason to get these guys? Why aren't their bodies able to sustain that many games? Because that's a problem.
Yeah.
And Rashard Bateman, I think he got on Twitter and he just went after the Ravens organization on Twitter like a couple days ago.
They're a mess right now.
Yeah, and he was saying that y'all need to stop blaming the wide receiver because I guess they asked him. The GM said something about we don't have good wide receivers.
I'm gonna tell you.
The Baltimore Ravens, right? If I'm Lamar, I might not even want to be there because it's just not good.
I mean, they've been riding off. Let's be clear. They've been riding off the coattails of Ozzie Newsome for years. Yeah, you see, these guys you didn't draft Ogden and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. You didn't draft these guys.
Still in the mix there.
But they got another dude up there that's calling the shots.
Yeah.
And how many people did you see on the Ravens ever call Ozzie out?
Well, because
Zero.
They were always good when
They was always great. And I think the thing that we're missing here, and I'm excited for the Ravens. I want y'all to do this. See, y'all got cocky. Aditi comes on and she praises the Baltimore Ravens, and she she loves the Ravens. And you know what? They're traditionally a good organization, but right now they're dead wrong. You know why they dead wrong? Because they think that they got the lucky pick. They think they got the mojo because they think they can draft quarterbacks better than everybody. Y'all lucked up and got Flacco. Now y'all got Lamar Jackson right after that. Guess what? That's cute to think you could go back into the draft again and see what you get.
I don't even think Flacco was that good. The year they won the Super Bowl, he played great in the playoffs.
He got him
overall in his career. I think he's an average quarterback.
He got him the
Flacco played
Super
really good
Joe
on that run.
Joe Flacco beat the Cleveland Browns.
He beat them. So my thing is, they think you better than everybody else.
I
Trust
think
us.
they're going to suck this year if
Trust us.
Lamar doesn't play.
See,
It's hard to find a quarterback.
I'm not necessarily ready to say that.
Who's going to be their quarterback?
If it's Huntley, then it'd be.
Let's continue this for a second. Go ahead, Mikey. What do you got?
Real quick. Flacco played so well during that playoff stretch because he discovered Built Bars right before the postseason began.
Of course he did.
Started housing Built Bars, gave him that elite arm strength.
That's true.
And even though he signed a massive contract with the Ravens after that, he was still using promo code LOCKDOWN15 at Built.com for Built Bars. Question real quick, and this is, I think, where I wanted this conversation to get to, and I think we're right in the prefaces of it. But do you think Andrew Berry, when he signed Deshaun Watson last year, knew an unintended or intended consequence of fully guaranteeing that deal is that the Ravens may not be able to pay Lamar what he wants because of it? The Bengals may not be able to par. What do you guys think about that?
The idea that the Bengals won't pay Joe Burrow is laughable to me. I know Mike Brown. You have to have the capital in real dollars. The reason the Bengals sold stadium naming rights last year was to pay Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
They're paying Joe Burrow. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if I'm wrong about that, I'll apologize, and I'll call for Mike Brown to sell the team. But that's not going to happen.
I agree. If,
So
if
I don't
Joe
think
Burrow
that's
don't
gonna
get
be an
paid,
issue.
he gets.
It's a
They sell
lie.
him.
And what about Jackson? So take out Burrow, though. What about Jackson?
I don't
is
think
Watson's contract running Lamar out of Baltimore?
I think
Yes.
it has definitely yes,
Yes.
but I don't think they were thinking about that at the time.
Yeah, hey, I don't think that when the Browns put the pen with Deshaun, they didn't say we're gonna do this so
They were
Lamar
like,
get
we
out.
got to get this quarterback no matter what it
Yeah,
takes.
that's
I
yeah.
came into this game saying one thing.
Yeah.
Only about 10 teams are trying to win, period. It's only 10 teams any given year actively trying to win. And this deal shows you that people aren't actively trying to win. Because if they were actively trying to win, there's nowhere in the universe that Lamar Jackson does not make the Baltimore Ravens a better team with him on the roster.
I agree.
So if you're punting
Yeah.
on that and you saying it's the money, it's the money, it's the money, how you complaining about money? Don't y'all get $89 billion? You got Apple, Amazon, TV rights everywhere. How is it that the owners do a great job of really doing this to people all over the place? They tell you they don't got it. They allude to it. They keep saying it over and over and over again because they own the media. They own all the people, all the high price hosts. Well, they can't pay that. Well, they can't do this. And they tell you people they don't have the money.
To do what? To pay?
To pay Lamar Jackson.
Of course they have the money.
No,
to
they
pay
got
him.
the money to pay
They
him.
don't want to guarantee it all because, and that's essentially that's the players.
That's what it is right
the
here.
players. It's the players. The NFL Players Union had to hold out to make sure all contracts were guaranteed, and they haven't done that.
Well,
amazing
it's a lot more to just that. It's a lot.
Well,
more.
I know it's very complicated,
Yeah, it's
sure,
more
but
to that.
it's crazy that baseball players and basketball players guarantee money and football players
Well,
don't.
They can't
Well,
give,
so
they cannot give me one reason why contracts are guaranteed.
Well,
they
I'm gonna
can't
tell
give me one side.
Well, I'm gonna tell you because I had this conversation
Yeah.
with a guy who's on the NFLPA. He said that if you want to get, you can get guaranteed contracts, but like I said, you got to give up something. So we'll give you guaranteed contracts. We'll make sure that if you on the roster, your money is there. But guess what? The moment we cut you, we ain't give you no health care after for 5 years. We ain't taking care of none of your medical bills, none of that stuff. Would you take that deal? While you playing and as a 53 person on our roster, your money is 100% guaranteed. But the day we cut you, we don't owe you nothing
But see,
else.
here's the payoff.
So
side.
would you take that deal?
Let me tell you this. But the payoff is this: y'all didn't get it after 5 years anyway.
Yeah, we only get it 5 years.
So they told you we're gonna cut your money and only your health issues come when you're older.
Yes.
Why they cut you? Your first 5 years, we'll give you health care, but I'm 30 years old. I ain't gonna need no help in 30
I
years.
agree.
The owners are never hurting for money. Even
Never.
Correct.
the poor owners.
Yeah.
The lower money owners.
But it's just so much. It's so much give and pull, give and take in this
Yeah.
whole thing. You want guaranteed contracts, but you got to give up something, and they give it. The pensions is gone. We don't owe you no pension at 55. Like that's gone. We give you all the money now, but we ain't give you no money at 55 or 65, whatever it is.
Here's the crazy part about it. So the NFL makes more money than baseball and basketball.
Yeah.
So how is it that football teams can't afford and make the most, but they can't afford pension and guarantee deals?
Right.
They don't want to.
And by the way,
They don't want to. That's what they
I'm
don't
saying,
want. I'm
the
not saying they
players-
can't. They don't
players
want
would
to.
have to fight for it.
Yeah.
And be willing to sit out the whole
You got,
season.
yeah.
Which is never going to happen.
Nope.
The Players Union has never been able to do that.
Nope.
The problem is there's too many players that make the league minimum and are afraid they're never going to play.
Correct.
And to me, the pension is important for those guys.
Yeah.
Right? Who cares about Tom Brady's pension?
Yeah.
He made zillions of dollars.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, quick question. We're going to have Malcolm Jenkins, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time All-Pro with the Eagles and the Saints. He's going to join us in a couple minutes. If Lamar's gone for the Ravens, do we assume that Snoop is the quarterback for the Ravens? Is he the starter?
Is that Tyler Huntley?
That's his nickname, Snoop.
We're not calling him that.
I'm not to say I ain't calling.
No,
No,
we don't call him
no.
that.
That's what people call him.
No.
The back of his Pro Bowl jersey did say Snoop
We don't
Huntley.
care
No.
if his mama calls him that. We
not
gonna
calling
call
him
him
Snoop.
Clay.
Yeah. Is he the starter? Is he
Do
the
you think he's the starter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
don't
How
have
many games, without knowing what else the Ravens will do in free agency or whatever, obviously a draft, if he's the starter next year, how many games do the Ravens
6.
Are they win?
win? Yeah.
I'm not ready to say six. I don't know. It's difficult to say because they getting a new OC in there. I don't know what their offense is going to look like. If he's doing the pass thing, then they ain't gonna win too
5
many.
if they pass in the raw.
They get like with him, you have to run the ball, and he basically have to turn into a two-headed monster quarterback and running back.
What's your prediction? Let's go. You got to give us a prediction.
With a good defense, they always got a chance. I give them 500. Ain't no 500. 8. I give them 8.
6 games.
I'm going 5 wins for the Ravens.
5, and I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
curious what BetJack would set the line on the Ravens over/under for
5.5.
wins if Lamar isn't back. And speaking of BetJack, we might as well tell you that BetJack is the official sportsbook of Ohio. Are you looking for the ultimate sportsbook? Well, BetJack's the answer. Sports betting is now live in Ohio. You can download the BetJack app today and have skin in every game, anywhere, anytime. It's BetJack, Ohio's sportsbook. As soon as Malcolm Jenkins is here, we'll bring him in. Right. But let's keep this convo going until Malcolm's ready to hop in.
Was he on the cruise?
No, he wasn't on the cruise. He wasn't there this year.
Who was there? Somebody you hadn't met before? Another player?
No, because usually the people that's on
guys.
You know what? Some of the current players came this year. This was the first time ever that they actually had current players there.
Really?
Yeah, they had Tommy Eichenberg, the middle linebacker, Steel Chambers, the outside linebacker.
Great name. You have a better football name than Steel Chambers?
Emeka Ibuka, Cade Stover, and Cameron Babbs.
Man, you pull up on somebody in the club. What's your name? Steel.
Well, that's it. So what we found out is that Steel is actually his middle name.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's his middle name?
Yeah.
It sounds like his porn star name.
It is.
Like it's a good football player name, and it's a good porn star name, Steel Chambers.
Well, why do you say that right before we bring in a new guest, man?
2 times of Steel. Lexington and Steel.
I found out they told us that.
Jenkins is going to be offended by that? I hope I didn't offend him.
No, I'm just saying. He just logged in. The first thing he hears is you talking about porn names. Come
Steel
on.
Chambers being a porn star name? Doesn't that sound like a porn star
Yes,
name?
like I can see. Like,
I wonder, NIL, he might got a deal.
See?
He might get a deal for
I like
it.
that. There's Malcolm Jenkins. There he is. Former Buckeye.
Malcolm comes in. He's an activist. He's a community.
What did he get into here?
Malcolm is he activist. He in the community. He ain't playing
I'm talking
no
about
games.
porn stars
And this
over
dude
here.
comes in here talking about Steel and all this other.
I mean, it does. Steel. That is a good football name, though, don't you think, Malcolm? Steel Chamber.
It's
That's a good
definitely
name.
good. It's entertainment. It's meant for entertainment. Let's just put it that way.
It certainly is.
It's not his real first name, so it doesn't really.
What is his real first name?
I forgot what they said, but it's not.
Clarence.
It's
Clarence.
Is it Clarence?
No, it's just the.
That's not
the
nearly
A-line.
as cool as Steel. Hey, Malcolm, thank you so much for joining us. So much to get into with you. Let's start with this. We just had a conversation. Yep. We've obviously been talking about Lamar Jackson here for about the last 20 minutes. And we made all our predictions that if Tyler Huntley, these guys refuse to call him Snoop, even though it's his nickname. No. If Tyler Huntley is the starting quarterback for the Ravens, Tyvis said the Ravens win 8 games. G. Bush said they'd win 6 games. I said they'd win 5 games with him as the starter as opposed to Lamar. What's your best prediction on that?
I mean, I can't call a number of games, but I think the consensus is that the Ravens are not as good a football team without Lamar Jackson at the helm. I think that's what we can all agree on.
Yeah.
Whether that takes you for 5, 6, 7 games, it's still losing. At the end of the day, I think that's what. I don't think anybody predicts them to get better without him.
Malcolm, I'm looking at this situation, and if you're Lamar Jackson, don't you look around and say, hold on, let me get this right. So y'all said I was a receiver at first. I came into the league. I lost a lot of money because I didn't get drafted in the top 15 or so. I'm late first round pick. I come in and show you what I could do. I've won an MVP. I have a 75% winning percentage when I'm on the field. I am the offense. You haven't got me no receivers. My running back's been dinged up. He has to be sitting here thinking like, well, do you guys believe in me or you don't believe in me? Do you think this is something that goes to, whether he's going to be there long term if he does not sign this or does not report, or do you think he's destined to go somewhere else?
Well, I think hopefully by the time he's gotten to this point, he's made up in his mind what's most important to him, right? And I think he has to realize that this is just business. So while you can stack all of these things up on a table, that doesn't mean that they're going to move, and he has to be okay with that. So as long as he knows who he is, I think then whatever happens. Because the reality is he's getting ready to set the precedent for the environment of the league going forward, representing himself, doing it the way that he did, betting on himself and the style of play is going to set the market for everybody who's behind him. So we can't go into this expecting him to get, the red carpet laid out for him, that he's not going to have resistance or his value is not going to be challenged. He's just going to have to stand on it. And, hopefully that works out in his favor.
Malcolm, first of all, I wanted to tell you thank you for coming on this show. Our executive producer said that you are one of his favorite Eagles to play. So Steve Becker,
huge Eagles fan.
Yeah, Steve Becker, I handled that for you. Transitioning to the Cleveland Browns, obviously, we just got Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator. You played for Jim Schwartz, and he credits you as one of his favorite players. Tell us about his defense and what we can expect to see next year for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, my favorite thing about Jim was his ego. He was able to check, and that's very, very hard for somebody who's as decorated as he is. I played for a lot of coordinators who really only know their way of playing defense, and one of his things, which helped me a lot, and we work well with this, was our versatility, his ability to see what he has at his disposal and build a defense that complements that. So we started off in a single high defense, where it put a lot of pressure on the corners, but gave us, we were really good against the run and really solid in the middle of the field. And with injuries on the outside, he was able to change that to where we still presented the same thing to the offense, but it was more of a cover 2 shell or roll defense that gave our corners some relief, but still allowed us to be stout. So his starts with up front, and when you got a guy like Miles out there who can rush the passer, it's going to start with those 4 guys up front being able to get pressure, and then he'll build the coverage off of that based off of the skill set that he has available to him.
Malcolm, here's the important question. How is Rutgers ever going to get good at football? You grew up in their backyard. You went to high school in the backyard of Rutgers, and you were like, Rutgers, forget it, I'm going to Ohio State. They're never going to be good, are they?
Well, I think you're on to it. It's just keeping the homegrown talent staying in New Jersey. I think if you look at my class alone, the 2005 Jersey high school class, we had about 6 first rounders, and I think only maybe one of them went to Rutgers. I think it was Kenny Britt. You had Cody Twins, myself, Brian Cushing, BJ Raji, Sean Green, Sean Marino, all these guys, all Jersey, and they're all over the country. So they can figure out how to keep them home, we'll be all right.
We're talking with Malcolm Jenkins, and you win 2 Super Bowls in your career, obviously, one with New Orleans, one with Philadelphia. I feel like this is a crazy question, but I want to ask you anyway. Is there one more meaningful than the other?
No. I think it's especially because, both of them were the first in those franchises' history. So to be able to bring like that first championship to a city is something special, especially 2 cities that are as attached to their football team as New Orleans and Philadelphia is. So, I think there are 2 unique fan bases. I think if you want to look at like overall just the hype and probably the buildup, Philly is a fun place to win a Super Bowl in. But New Orleans is not bad either, especially when Mardi Gras was right off the heels of the Super Bowl win. So that celebration was like no other. So I think, for me, they are special in different ways. My role on both of those teams were different. That was my rookie year for the one with the Saints, where I was more of a contributor and kind of I was watching these things unfold. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Philadelphia, I was front line, a captain, very much involved in the direction of that team. But both obviously have made an impression on me, but, hold a special place for me.
Malcolm, when during a couple of years back, when the whole thing with taking a knee and kneeling happened, it seems like, and this is just from the outside looking in, you came out of that relatively unscathed. There's a lot of other individuals that obviously, Colin Kaepernick and some other individuals that, they literally didn't make it back to the league. They literally weren't playing anymore. How was that experience for you after you took a knee and after you were very vocal about that? And what did you receive any backlash or anything that maybe people don't really necessarily know about?
Yeah, I think unscathed is probably a light way of putting it. I think Colin was probably the only one who really sacrificed his livelihood. His job was really affected by what he did. Everybody else, either continued their career with kind of, some eyes on them. But for me, I think, One of the things that helped me was I was in an organization that just had the perfect storm. There was so much going on politically in Philadelphia. You had the example of Meek Mill in jail while we were going to a Super Bowl. We're winning. Jeff Lurie's the team owner who created an environment where he allowed us to speak our mind and use our platform. So we were able to go a little bit further than other people. And it wasn't just me. I was surrounded by, Chris Longs, Torrey Smiths, the Mike Bennett's of the world. So I had people around me as well, where some other guys were isolated. So I think it was really just a perfect storm that allowed me to consistently be a voice, to consistently take stands, because I was supported and in the right situation.
Malcolm, obviously the Eagles came a little short this year against Kansas City, and I was really pulling for y'all. I thought y'all had this thing won. What do you got to say about the breakdown from a coverage standpoint? When Kansas City kept hitting those motions, and the Eagles were rolling coverage. What do you think they could have done better to play those two plays that left two wide open touchdowns?
Well, I think, when early in the game you play man-to-man and Kelsey just immediately takes over the game, you're shell-shocked from then on. You're going to play a soft zone and make sure that they dink and dunk their way. And if there's anything that we've seen Kansas City able to do is tear apart zones, especially when they have a little bit of time. And I think, I know to my surprise, Patrick Mahomes had way more time in the pocket than I anticipated coming into this game. So when you add, the lack of pressure that was made up front with a little bit of soft zone coverage, you can expect that there are going to be completions, and that's what Kansas City does well: get the ball to their guys in space and make something happen with it. It was a well-fought game. I thought both teams made adjustments, both teams made plays. Just there at the end, one team made more than the other.
Malcolm, you played football your whole life, and then last year you don't play for the first time after a long NFL career. What was that like? Like, especially when the season started, training camp started, whatever. What was that like for you?
It was oddly comfortable. I got a little bit kind of disheveled right around training camp. I didn't know what was happening. It was like late July, and all of a sudden I just got an urge to work out and get in the gym and get focused and read books. And I'm like, what's going on? And then one of my teammates who's also retired said, hey, your body's used to getting ready for training camp. That's all that is. Mm-hmm. And so once you understand and can identify some of these, urges due to muscle memory, I really, enjoyed this vantage point, being a fan, watching, kind of these things unfold from a third person view and not being in the mix, not having control of anything that's happening in the game. It gives me more anxiety. Like I understand why there's fandom and why people, are so tied to the game. And I like it. I'm not complaining.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. It's good to be able to adjust so quickly. Some guys can't, so that's awesome. Took some time. Yeah. I want to talk about one of your former teammates, Michael Thomas. Obviously, another Buckeye. He's a great NFL player. Last few years, he's barely played. He's been hurt. Obviously, he wants out of New Orleans. He's a free agent now. Do you think he's got another big season in him? Not just a guy, but like a lead wide receiver guy?
Yeah, I think a big season, that's not hard to do when you're Michael Thomas, right? We've seen him be able to just take off. I think the biggest question mark to if he can have another season is, can he stay on the field for an entire season? And that's just been really the hard part about the last 2 years is we haven't gotten a complete season from him. But I think when we get a complete season from him, everybody expects for him to be the Michael Thomas that we've seen. His work ethic, his abilities have not changed over those years. We want to see how he looks after these injuries. But I think when it comes down to if that question is answered, that he's available for an entire season, I think he can really get back to form to what we're used to.
Well, Malcolm, we know, this past year while you've been, watching the NFL, you also have written a book, What Winners Won't Tell You. Tell us about that process, and what we can expect when we read this book.
Yeah, I mean, the process is a little bit different than what I've been used to. But one of the good things that I've learned, through the game of football is to take a lot of notes. And when you play for as long as I did, 13 seasons, but been playing football since I was 7 years old, you learn, a life through the game of football and going through the things that I've experienced both in family, on the field, off the field, business. There's so much that I feel like, needs to be put in context for those who are coming behind me, those who are kind of navigating those same roads. And so as a bridge builder and a storyteller, I figure what better way than to tell through my own story kind of these lessons that I've learned that really put into context what people just saw me come out of in that 13-year career.
Malcolm, one of the big things that big story was the DeMar Hamlin situation. It kind of spawned this conversation about contracts, conversations about healthcare, conversations about players, longevity in terms of both of those things after they retire. First and foremost, how were you to navigate those waters in terms of your finances? And two, what is the biggest thing that you would tell younger players in terms of money and how to move in their career? Because there is no guaranteed contracts.
Yeah, man. And the quickest way that I can try to answer these things is that one, players have to realize that they have the power to get guaranteed contracts if they want. They got to stop asking the league to give it to them. That's not how negotiations work. The NBA got it because players band together and decided they weren't going to take contracts that weren't guaranteed. It's not in their collective bargaining agreement. They didn't negotiate for it. They just took it. And that's what players can do. So that's just on that. When it comes to, navigating finances, realistically, I played long enough to make up for the mistakes that I made early on. And I think that, unfortunately, that's really the narrative for a lot of guys. The first contract, no matter where you come from, what color you are, what your background is, we're just really not prepared to deal with, that amount of assets and things going on while we're still trying to professionally excel. But eventually you learn. And so I think the biggest thing that I can tell athletes coming up now is to talk to each other, to invest with each other. Group economics is something that the ownership does. It's something that people with money do all the time. They share information, they share money, they co-invest. That way they limit their risk and they get into more different things. But if you go into an NFL locker room, most of the time, talking about money is taboo. It's something that we don't talk about. When we lose money, we'll watch our teammates go to that same person and invest with that same person. We all lose money. We don't collectively do things, and really that's the key to success. So when you don't know, you're a rookie, you don't know a lot, invest or learn from the people that are around you that understand your networks, understand what you're going through, and can do things together. That's really the easiest way.
I didn't even know. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
you mean that that's the thing that most wealthy individuals do is when you common-minded, common likeness, they usually share like, hey, there's a good investment opportunity over here. That's I would have never thought that was the case.
What if you tried to talk to a younger teammate, like when you went back to New Orleans or even in Philadelphia when you were a veteran by then? If you tried to talk to a teammate, like a rookie or second-year guy, would they have not heard you? I mean, how would that have gone if you had tried it?
Well, I mean, I've talked to guys when they're ready for it. It comes with education and experience. Again, I'm able to talk about it because I played long enough to make those mistakes and be able to recover from them. Where the majority of our guys, I mean, you're talking about a league where the average player is in it for less than 3 years.
Yeah.
So you're trying to educate guys who are literally 2 years away from retirement the second they come in. It's the dynamics are way different, and then the range of, even economics and the status. You got a bare minimum player next to, somebody making, $100 million contract. Yeah. It's the conversations are even different when we're talking about how we're able to even be on different levels. But everybody's in that same locker room, and it creates a unique kind of dynamic, even a budget to get paid only at this time during the year and being able to make that stretch for a lifetime is something that nobody else but these particular athletes have to deal with, and it creates unique problems.
Mikey, go ahead, man.
Hey, Malcolm, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, man. Quick question. So you played with Jim Schwartz, and Schwartz in his press conference mentioned you as one of his favorite players he ever coached. You guys had that coach-player relationship where you were an extra coach on the field. What goes into kind of developing that relationship with the defensive coordinator coach? Is it an immediate connection? Is it developed over 3-4 years? And kind of how that formulates into becoming a coach on the field for a certain defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think it comes with, for me, it took about 2 seasons with Jim. The first one, I thought when he first met me, I told him I wanted to play the nickel. I was probably 215 pounds, and he wasn't really familiar with my game. And he just looked at me and said I was too heavy to play the nickel. But, after a training camp and then after seeing, me move and be able to do things and understanding my process and how much, film I watched, how much preparation, I put into it, he was able to trust the things that I was saying and vice versa. And once two people put their egos down and are more concerned about winning more than they are about being the reason that you win, that's when you can really have like that collaboration where players are having input and more ownership in the defense. Coordinators are able to set them up and put them in positions because players can tell you, hey, what they're good at, what matchups they're feeling good about, what leverage they need, and you can, better suit and put them in positions to play fast and keep it simple. And he's been somebody who, I think is open to that kind of dialogue and relationships. And every great defense that I've studied, that I've been a part of, has always had that ability to take 1 to 2 other players who are extensions of the coach and put them on the field to really have that extra layer of, security on your defense, whether it be for calls or just keeping people lined up.
I'm glad that I'm glad you went there and talked about your experience as a nickel, because here at the Cleveland Browns, we got a little dilemma going on at the nickel position. We got 3 corners, all who feels that they want to play outside. And I get it because, obviously corners, you get the big money from playing outside. But when you look at this Cleveland Brown roster, is there a guy that you can look at and say he can be like the Malcolm Jenkins of this defense? I don't know how familiar you are with the Browns roster, though.
Yeah, I won't go too far because I'm not that familiar with the secondary. But I will say, to me, one of the things, it used to be that when you're chasing the bag, like for sure you want to be considered a corner. But realistically, when you're talking about, your value to a team, and this is kind of how I made my claim in this league, was the more that you can do, the more valuable you are for teams. If you can play the nickel, you're an undersized linebacker, you're playing strong safety at times, you're playing corner. That's 3 different positions that you can occupy at any point in time. So if a linebacker goes down, you're the next person up. If your safety goes down, the next person up. Corner goes down, you stay on the field. And that makes you more valuable than, your corner, who you're going to lose for a game or 2 throughout the year. And he may only show up 75% of those games. But if you got a guy that you can always put in positions to dominate, a third receiver, to dominate a tight end or running back, if you're a corner that can do that, the value of that is rising in this league. At least you look at players like C.J. Garner-Johnson, who I think is a good example of that, being able to start his career in the nickel, make a bunch of plays there, and then all of a sudden his transition to safety was pretty easy. But he's still a corner who can do all of these different things, and him hitting the market is going to really open that up, I think, for a few people. So the nickel used to be one of those spots where you didn't want to wear that scarlet letter, but the more you can do, the more valuable you are in this league.
Malcolm, the Browns' defensive line last year was really bad outside of Myles Garrett. Everybody else has struggled. They really have, backup caliber players on that line besides Myles Garrett. He's great, but he's getting no help. So obviously we all want the Browns to target some of those Eagles defensive linemen. We're thinking, well, they're veterans, they're free agents. I think we got like 3 free agents on that D-line. Obviously, they all have relationships with Jim Schwartz. Do you think Jim's relationship with those guys, assuming the money's in the same ballpark, will be an advantage for the Browns to maybe get 1 or even 2 of those guys to come here?
Well, I think if anything, you've at least got the relationship. But to your point, these guys they're the most valuable that they've ever been in their career, coming off of the season that D-line just had. Going all the way to the Super Bowl, that price is going to be nice. So to get, I think 2 of them might be a little greedy.
Probably.
But but I do think, if you're looking at the guys who are out there, they're definitely a decorated bunch. Guys who can come in and add value from a leadership standpoint, from a productivity standpoint, and obviously fit the defense. So yeah, I think if I'm Jim, obviously I'm looking right there in Philadelphia to see if I can fill, a void to add some depth on that D-line.
Now we got to discuss something. We got to figure something out. Now, Ohio State
Go Bucks.
The Buckeyes say that they DBU. Now, a couple years ago, it used to be in Miami, right? It used to be Miami. A couple years ago.
20 years ago or so.
Yeah.
See how they talking to y'all
Getting
down
old,
there?
G. You're getting old.
Now, here's what I'm going to do, man. I need you to name, because there's a lot of them, your top 5 Buckeye DBs. Now, you can't use this guy and you can't put yourself in there. Top 5 Buckeye DBs. That's safeties and corners. Y'all got a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm going to go Antoine Winfield.
Okay.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Great one.
You got to go to the great Jack Tatum.
Yes.
But if I didn't want to go there, I could always go Sean Springs.
Yep.
We can go in, Killer Mike Doss from the national championship. Y'all remember him well.
G. Bush played high school. Played in high school.
That's
with
one of my best friends. Shout out to Mike Doss. And I don't know how they let Mike Doss get a dark shield. They let you get it off too before it's time. I don't know how
they pulled that.
How you get that off?
I'm just saying, you got to know people. But man, I feel like we put a first rounder out almost every draft, if not every other draft. So, I think when you just look at it, how many we put in, it's really only LSU is in the other conversation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
But anybody else is all cap. It's Ohio State and LSU. And quite frankly, obviously, where I lean. And I think but if you talk about longevity, I think, that list goes on and on for decades. It wasn't just the last 10, 20, even 30 years for Ohio State. We've been putting DBs out like a factory for sure.
Malcolm, what's your go-to pizza joint in Piscataway?
Man, I gave up cheese a long time ago, so I've been real weird with my pizzas. I get it with no cheese. But, I was always a Stelton. It's a pizzeria on Stelton Road in Piscataway, just close to the neighborhood. That was the closest one.
Malcolm, you played with Cleveland native Jason Kelce for a while in Philadelphia. He's quite the character. You got any Jason Kelce stories you can share with us real quick? Maybe your favorite?
Plenty. I think my favorite Kelce story is after the Super Bowl, the parade going down Broad Street. We all started on these, tour buses. And about halfway through, I looked to my right and Kelce's crowd surfing on his back.
That's
in
crazy.
a full mummer down Broad Street. I was like, you know what? That is fitting for not only our team, but for Jason specifically. Yeah, it was natural for him.
When the Cavs won the championship with LeBron in 2016, Cleveland had not had, that was the first championship in 60 years in Cleveland. So we couldn't, for the parade here, the parade was delayed by an hour because we didn't have what are those things called? The blue panels you put to keep the crowd on the
barricades.
The barricades, couldn't think of the word. We didn't even have them. and people were just in the street, you couldn't even get down.
Unprepared.
I think LeBron was starving by the time he got to the end, man. He couldn't get any food, he couldn't get anything to drink. It was crazy, but it was wild. Those things are nuts. What was that like being part of the parade, being in the parade? Both times.
Man, yeah, the first time was similar to that. I think the parade route was maybe 3/4 of a mile, and it took us 4 or 5 hours to get through. It was crazy. The second time, I was more prepared. I understood what was coming. I made sure I got a cart of alcohol on my bus specifically, so we didn't have to make runs in between, because they don't give you things on those floats. It's just water. So we had to make it a little bit more fun. But this time, the second time around, was well prepared. Had everything ready. Had a good time. Took it all in. The fans were crazy, and it's a straight route down Broad Street. People on the roofs, on signs, poles, trees. It's a crazy scene.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on the current state of Ohio State right now? I got to know.
Got to beat Michigan.
Yeah, I think, our concern for the lad, we've been spoiled, getting really close to these natties and thinking about the playoffs. And even when we've had some, our defense wasn't right for a little bit, things weren't right, but we were cool because we're always competing. But we weren't losing to Michigan, and now dropping 2 in a row is just unacceptable. So I think that's really the first, goal is show and prove there. And then we can have a conversation about, all of the other semantics and smaller things. But we're not used to being on that. It's been a while since we've been on this end of it. And that's got to change.
That's why I like you, because somebody asked me that question on the Buckeye Cruise, and I said exactly what you just said.
Hey, the rest of it is just semantics until we get that done. Because if we can't get past the team up north, then we got bigger problems.
Malcolm, are you interested in coaching?
No, not right now. I tell everybody I left the game of football with money still on the table. So if I wanted to work really, really hard, I would have just kept playing. Right now, they put in a lot of time and they take a lot of time away from their family. And I think that's really the antithesis of what I'm trying to do right now. But I do know that I have, an affinity for the game. I've got a ton of knowledge that I love to kind of share, especially to younger players. Teaching and coaching is something I'm passionate about. But right now, I don't know that it's in the stars for this period of my life.
Malcolm, last thing. What was your reaction? 2-part question. What was your reaction when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson and gave him the new contract that was all guaranteed? And do you think this year we will see the Deshaun Watson that we saw in Houston?
I think the reaction was my normal reaction to any team that I see make moves like that. This is a team that's desperate to win and is going for it, right? Yeah. They're not shy about it, not gonna pull any punches, which is fine. I think the expectations are going to be unbelievably high on Deshaun, and I think even now we're glorifying maybe what we even saw from him, in Houston. I thought he's, is definitely a quarterback who can lead your team, especially when you build things around him. But he's still a quarterback with a lot of things that needs to be developed and things that we have yet to see kind of take that next leap. I think his legs and his athletic ability give him a huge room, a huge margin for error. But as we know, in this league, to be competitive long term, we're going to have to see a lot of those other things develop. And that comes with building around him. That comes with building a system that keeps him protected, keeps him in good situations, and also the development from his own self as a player. And I think that's just yet to be seen.
Great stuff, Malcolm. We really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thanks, Malcolm. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Malcolm.
Appreciate
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
There you go.
Hey, real quick. So Malcolm mentioned Noshawn Moreno.
Yeah.
The 1 year of Little League football Pop Warner I played, Noshawn Moreno and Donald Brown were on my team in the same backfield.
Donald Brown played at UConn, right?
UConn first-round pick of the Colts.
They won it all, is what you're saying.
No, we were terrible, ironically. But real quick, we're going to bring in Jay Crawford.
What?
That just goes to show you how garbage coaches is at that level.
Yeah. We tried throwing the ball. It made no sense. But and they were on they're 3 or 4 years older than me.
Noshawn Moreno had like one good year in the NFL,
with 2 first-round picks. Yeah. By the way, our 12 o'clock lunch hour, as always, is sponsored by Colleague Racing. Colleague Racing, your Northeast Ohio NASCAR team. And guys, it's sunny and nice here, but it's not as nice as what Jay's dealing with in Arizona right now.
There he is on the field.
He in his element. Look at you, Jay. Shades on. Woohoo, man.
Yeah. Listen, Tyvis, they're asking about you.
Listen, put in a good word. Tell them I'm available. If they need me to go up against somebody, tell them that you are available. Throw me that slider, and I'm going to send it across the fence. And then tell them that, you know what, just write my contract up and then send it to my agent. And if it's good, I'll sign.
Jay, he's ready to platoon with Miles Straw out in center field.
Just saying.
So get him signed up. How are things out in Goodyear right now? Beautiful out? It looks amazing out there.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous weather. It's a clear, sunny day. I'm guessing the temperature's probably already in the 70s. It might be a little warmer. I know by game time it'll definitely be in the high 70s, low 80s. I got to tell you guys, I've been to Indian/Guardian spring training probably 6 or 7 times in total, even going back to the 90s when they were in Winter Haven and I was working in Columbus. But this year is different. Even I came here in 17 after they had the crazy run in 16 and lost in the World Series. And I will say there were obviously higher expectations for this team over the long haul in 17. But the feeling that I'm picking up already from day one is this team is now no longer where they were last year, where they were hoping to be successful. They have high expectations, and they were, and this is what really my takeaway from the time that I've spent around the guys already. They were crushed at the way things ended last year. They weren't, hey, what a great run. We were happy to be here. They were devastated, and they've carried that into this year in how they've worked in the offseason, the preparations that they've been going through to get ready for this season. And I will talk to a bunch of players throughout my time here, but I had a chance to sit down with Mike Chernoff for about a half hour. And my big takeaway from my conversation with him is they feel that they're very well positioned. They knew what their needs were coming into the offseason. They addressed at least two of those needs. And Bull, it was interesting because Mike, like you, believes that Josh Bell has another level that he can get to, which was part of the reason they went out and did this deal. So, I mean, it's filled with optimism, where last year I think it was kind of unrealistic hope. This year it's a manageable expectation that they're going to be one of the best teams in the game.
You mentioned you talked to Mike Chernoff, the Guardians GM, who's been here a long time, obviously now. Did you get the sense from him, or if you asked him directly, did he answer, that there is some payroll flexibility for the trade deadline if they need a pitcher or something?
Yeah, so here's what I can tell you, because they're non-committal on that kind of stuff.
Sure.
They're never going to talk about future moves. But I think what fans can feel safe in this takeaway, if there is a move that needs to be made as we're approaching the trade deadline, this team is really well positioned to go out and make that move. Bull, and we've talked about it at length on this program, that this organization is loaded with young talent. And at some point, they're going to have to make the decision to keep or to move on.
Right.
And they're well positioned to do that because this is the first year in a while where there hasn't been a big hole in the lineup. Last year, we didn't know who the corner outfielders were going to be. Last year, the whole outfield was a question mark, if you remember.
That's true.
And then Quan emerged. And, I know that they were solid at center field, but, they didn't know how the corner pieces were going to go. And you get Gonzalez and Quan. So this year is so much different in that it's not an opportunity for all the young kids in the organization to get all this playing time because, the everyday lineup for this team is set. And you strengthen yourself dramatically by going out and filling the holes at first base and catcher. Those were the two glaring weaknesses, and I think Mike feels very comfortable in the guys that he's brought over. And I can tell you that although he didn't answer it directly, I can tell you that if there's a move to be made around the deadline that will be a difference maker for this club, they're not afraid to make a move, and they're well positioned to do it.
Jay, let me ask you this, man. We talk about all the time. Last year, we wanted the Cavs to get that type of that type of experience in the playoffs, and so when they did get that experience in the playoffs. They were actually the Cavs didn't, but the Guardians did. Have you seen guys like Quan and Gonzalez and some of the younger guys? Have you seen a little bit of different pep in their step? A little bit, now that to look like, oh, I'm here. I've got that experience under my belt. We won a series. And do you think they just look more solidified and feeling like they belong at that major league level?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll tell you, G, that there's just I got here last night, so I didn't get to see any of the workouts yesterday. I've been here just a short time today where I actually wasn't doing interviews. But just in observing guys at the cage, guys taking infield, they're going through workouts before their exhibition, their spring training game later this afternoon. But it's funny because it's not just one person. It's just the feel here. It's just generally upbeat and optimistic. Where I mentioned last year from a distance, because I wasn't here last year for spring training, but just kind of as they broke spring training and came north, the feeling that I got was they were going into the season saying, well, let's see what happens. We've got a lot of pieces that we like. We've got a lot of question marks. So let's see what happens. That's what, I'd say 10 to 12 Major League Baseball teams are in that space every year. it's not like that here this year. Everybody is moving with a different confidence. Everyone, I think, is building off of the success that they had last year, and they're coming into this year with real expectations. Last year, their expectations were quiet. They were discussed internally within the team, and as that amazingly surprising run continued, we kept hearing Tito and some of the other guys involved say, look, we're not shocked by this. We kind of expected this to happen. We may be a little ahead of schedule, but we knew that this team had a lot of parts. Where this year, if they don't win 90 and win the division, it's going to be in my view, it's going to be a major setback and disappointment for these guys, because they're coming here to Goodyear this year with the intention that they can win this division. And they know that Chicago's upgraded. Minnesota is always a question mark. And we know that they're not going to have as many games in the division, which means probably fewer wins that you can rack up against the Kansas Cities and Detroits of the world. But I think they're wildly optimistic about what they can accomplish. And I don't want to say it's central or bust, because we never know how a season's going to play out. We don't know is the bullpen going to have the ridiculous success from last year, this year? That's an unknown. Will some of these kids take a step back? Possibly. But one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys about was in talking to Mike Chernoff and talking about that sort of sophomore slump that we know all guys go through and how they're guarding against that. I asked him, what was it with Oscar Mercado? Like, this was a kid that proved he could do it. And he said, the game is a game of adjustments. And you have to be able to make the adjustment to the adjustment that the game makes to you. And that is very difficult, guys. And it has weeded out hundreds of guys through the last decade. Guys that had initial success, but then couldn't show plate discipline or went back to bad habits. And he said in the case of Oscar, and young players and if golfers will understand this, when you make a swing change, there's often a time of regression before you see ascension. And that happened with Oscar. He had hit sort of a plateau in his career. They made some adjustments. They made some tweaks. He really adjusted well to those and took to those and had great success. But once the game adjusted to what he was doing now, it was incumbent upon him to trust all of the changes that he made, that they were going to get him through that slump. And he wanted to regress to his old habits. And that's totally understandable. A player will oftentimes revert to what they did that got them here. And so that's going to be the mental gymnastics that guys like Stephen Kwan, who I don't think is going to struggle with this at all, but Oscar Gonzalez and some of these other young guys that had great success last year, they're going to hit spells where it's a little difficult. The game becomes more difficult. It's how they get through that stretch, and can they have the discipline to rely on the habits that they've built that got them there in the first place.
I got two things. One is a question and the second is a statement. So the first one is, out of all the young guys that's there, who do you trust the most to be able to take that next step and ultimately turn into an all-star? That's first. And secondly, if you turn around, you see what they doing behind you? I can do that better than anybody out there right now, and I haven't played the game in a long time. I'm just telling you. Just tell them, Jay. Tell them you know a guy. Just tell them.
I will. They actually asked if we had any tape on you. And I said, we've got a little bit from a softball game, but it just kind of shows the basics that you're working with.
They didn't get my best
really
play.
McNuggets did
get. Oh, yeah, that's there. That's there. But I tell them my center field, I'll be the best center field we've ever seen in the Guardians.
Is you don't have great hips.
Don't listen. Y'all gonna cut this
out. You know what they did? They got your NFL scouting report, and they said decent speed but tight hips.
Yeah, tight hips.
It's gonna be tough for him to make
Jay,
that transition.
I'll have you know that I put some WD-40 on them this past week. They in tip-top shape.
He was at that Ohio State cruise, Jay. He said his hips is opened up now.
Oh, Tyvis, don't ever change, my friend. Don't ever change. To your first question, it's really interesting. Bull and I have talked about this off the air, and we've talked about it collectively as a group on the air about the guys that we think are well-positioned to capitalize on that success from last year. And I got to tell you, after talking with Mike Chernoff, they know that that's always a possibility, and they've seen it happen with guys in the past, including Oscar Mercado, and there have been others. But I do think because the Guardians is an organization, the more time I spend around them, the more impressed I am. Nothing in this organization happens by accident. They're both analytic. They're looking deeply into trends in the game. One of the things that Mike Chernoff told me that just really drives home the fact that they're always thinking ahead. He said they're already anticipating ways that teams will try to turn the Guardians' advantage on the base paths into a disadvantage. So that's called playing chess while everybody else might be playing checkers. So they're thinking of ways to stop what the Guardians do, and the Guardians are already thinking of what they're going to do, and they're thinking about the changes they're going to make to make sure that those changes aren't effective. And it just really drives home how deep things are discussed at this level, and particularly within this organization. I've said this before. I know it's going to sound like I'm a homer. I've been around a lot of Major League Baseball organizations. I think I get a pretty good idea. I have a good idea of how they work and what is successful. I cannot stress enough how fortunate this organization is to have the pieces in place in Antonetti and Chernoff at the top of the food chain from a mental brain power standpoint. I feel like it's our cheat code, and we're extremely fortunate to have kept these guys. Hopefully we can continue to keep them together, and there's upside to doing it this way. Imagine, guys, I'm not saying anyone can do it, but it's so much easier to do what they're doing if you've got an unlimited checkbook. Do it with the restraints of the spending that this organization has, being a smaller market and not being able to write $35 million checks every time they want. If you can win here under these guidelines, you can do it anywhere. And so it means more if they can win here. So all these guys have been pushing the boulder up the mountain. The sense that I get in talking to Mike, and I haven't talked about this with Chris, but I imagine it's a similar thing. You don't want to walk away from that boulder when it's close to the top. You want to push it over the top. And if they win here, they're like kind of Theo Epstein status. I mean, I know Epstein did it with the Red Sox and the Cubs, but what they're doing here, guys, is nothing short of amazing. And that's not lip service. That's just being as objective as I possibly can. This front office is not just the best, one of the best in baseball. I feel they're one of the best in all of professional sports.
Jay, good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have fun out there.
Yeah,
Keep
Ty,
that suntan
I'll
on.
let you know when your tryout is.
Okay. Tell them I don't need
I'm working out. I'm throwing. So I'm ready for our showdown whenever you're ready to sit down.
You really want to?
Just let me know.
Wait a minute. You really want to feel that pain to watch a 29-year-old guy just take you smooth over the fence? That's the after. I mean, you talking about putting your best pitch out there and it just pew gone.
I've built my amateur career chewing guys like you up and spitting them out.
You know what? It's going to be the best bat flip I ever do in my life. I'm gonna let you know that.
See you, Jay. We'll see
Wait
you.
till I strike you out.
Have
I'm
fun.
flipping my glove off and walking off the mound.
Take care, Jay.
I'll see you guys
Jay.
tomorrow.
I feel like
See you
next
guys.
year we should go, like, it would be awesome if next year we could do a week of the show in spring training in Arizona
That'd be dope.
and do that, like,
I would,
you know.
Bull, who you got your money on?
No offense, Tyvis.
That's
I'm
no.
going with
Don't
Jay.
say it. Don't say it. Don't say
The
it.
guy
That's
still
sad.
pitches
You know
all
what?
the time.
You know
You
what?
don't play baseball.
I thrive off of people like you. People that say,
If you were
ain't no
if it was
way.
football, I'd be with you.
I'm going
but-
to sit back there.
You still owe that-
I'm a crowd to play.
Hey, listen.
Boom!
Tyvis still got to get that work from that one kid. And we
Man,
supposed to do
stop bringing that kid up, man.
We supposed to do one-on-ones.
I'm
with you.
listening. I'm out here. I'm looking
the
for
dude that
him.
actually
The
talk-
kid that works at Channel 8 now.
Yeah.
Jake Mooney. Is
Who's
his
Jake
name.
Mooney?
He burned Tyvis in high school.
In high school, 2 touchdowns.
Oh, that guy. That's right.
Hey, I don't like the way you phrase that,
Hey,
okay?
listen.
I don't
Go
like
ahead,
the way
Mikey.
you
What's
phrase
up with Calling Racing right now? What's going on?
Yeah, well, Calling Racing, as we all know, is the sponsor of the 12 o'clock hour. It is also the official NASCAR team of Northeast Ohio. And during that interview, as Anthony and Earl pointed out to me, is what the internet was saying, and that's always brought to us by PCC Airfoils.
Yes,
if you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wycliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. What did you guys think of Jay's sunglasses in that hit, by the way? The chat was going off.
Very, very top.
Well, he's outside.
I mean, so all right. So listen.
I looked at him too. That's funny.
Usually, generally speaking, they about to get him because he had the one. They look like the Bret the Hitman hearts.
Oh yeah, those are cool. I love those.
Them Bret the Hitman
They
hearts.
do look like that.
Right. Them Hart Foundation glass. Owen Hart. Jimmy the Anvil Neidhart. Yeah, man, that was dope, man. Listen,
I'm okay with Jay's sunglasses. You guys got a problem with the sunglasses?
Nah, I ain't got a problem with him.
tomorrow he coming with the aviators.
Yeah.
He'll come with the aviators tomorrow.
That's funny though, because
The chat was pretty funny. You can read some of the comments.
Where the comments at?
What do we got?
I don't really want to roast Jay as much as they roasted Jay. So I'll just let Anthony of them.
I don't have any specific pulled up right now, but they said he looks like he wears socks with sandals in that outfit. I couldn't stop laughing at it.
Oh, man.
I saw a couple of Macho Man ones going.
Speaking of socks with sandals, Kevin Stefanski doesn't wear socks with sandals.
No, especially after how he portrayed himself in an interview with Part of My Take yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm going to play one more clip. We got 3 clips to play in this segment.
Yeah.
I'll play one, we'll react. We'll play another, we'll react.
Yeah.
So, Steve, play the
good.
first one. This is on Stefanski's offensive philosophy.
Again, before you play this, like Kevin Stefanski, you mentioned briefly, but he was on the Pardon My Take podcast. He was very loose as we played a clip right in the beginning. We've almost never seen Kevin Stefanski loose. We are really anxious to get him in studio on the show. I think that's got to be one of our biggest goals.
White whale.
Right, for this, especially.
What you mean that's a white whale? He's supposed to be in here.
I think the biggest, I think maybe the best chance for that is during like mini camps and that time of the year. Like we really got to push for that. So we got to get him in, get him in a loose situation.
I mean, we the biggest show. Could be the biggest Cleveland show on the internet.
We're the only show that keeps it real in the entire.
We're the biggest show on the internet. Part of My Take, G, is about 7 million times bigger than we are right now. So we got to get to that level.
What kind of thing is that to say?
We'll get there one day.
They do. Their numbers are stupid. But this was a great interview.
Great producer.
But they ain't in Cleveland.
Great producer.
Play the clip,
Very
Steve.
insulting. Go away.
With Deshaun this year and your running attack, are you going to let it fly or are you going to run the ball?
Can we do both?
No, you got to pick one or the other.
Yeah, I think offensive football, we want to do both.
We want cop out. You got to either let it fly or run the ball.
Minus grade.
I'll let it fly and then run the ball.
Okay.
Does that work?
Oh.
In one game and then flip it the next
That's
game?
a little interesting. You're not going to establish the run first.
That's a fallacy. You don't have to establish a run to throw it.
Okay.
Well, what about this? How about if you let that thing fly and then you run the damn ball?
How about if I put that on the call sheet?
Okay, I like that. I like both those things. What's your prediction? Everyone's giving us a prediction this year. Your prediction for the Browns?
Everyone. Literally everyone.
Can we go undefeated? Is that your prediction?
Yes, that's what you should aim
I mean, you try to win every game. So
yeah.
Okay.
They're not better than us. I'm sorry. They're not. They're just not.
I'm not saying they're better than us.
That's
they
what
have a much bigger following.
Wait a minute. The
I
whole
was looking
time,
for something riveting. I was looking for something big. Like, I'm like, they about to say something
you
groundbreaking.
ain't even focusing.
You're not getting real
Mike,
diehard
how about
sports
some loyalty
analysis.
to your show?
He's not even focusing on Kevin Stefanski's answer.
Yeah.
He's looking at what they doing.
Now, Tyvis, you got a problem with what he said there.
Yeah, I do.
What's your problem with that?
Because the way he phrased it was that he making it seem like nowadays in a game of football, you don't have to establish the run, you can just pass. And I think that's not true. I think that's actually kind of false. I think for the Cleveland Browns, yes, that's true. You don't have to establish the run with the Cleveland Browns because you have Nick Chubb as running back. It's like the Titans. If I got Derrick Henry back there, of course, as a defender, I'm thinking to myself, or a linebacker, if he even gets play action, I'm going to have to step up to it because I have to get this guy before he gets going. But if it's, I don't know, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who don't really get the ball, why would I step up?
Well, let me use your example.
I'm not stepping up for that.
Does Patrick Mahomes need Clyde Edwards-Helaire to play well to be able to throw the ball well?
No, but he needs that play action.
Well,
I mean, it would be
If you're a
easier.
quarterback, you don't need the play action.
Well,
Let me ask you this, Tyvis.
so then you saying what we seen from Deshaun Watson last season, he don't need play action? You don't think Jacoby Brissett needed play action?
Yeah, but I think the numbers have – I think what he's saying is they're looking at the numbers and that teams bite, at least for a millisecond, on that play action, whether the running back's good or not. I think that's what he's trying to say.
I think what he was trying to say is I think nowadays it's flipped. I believe that you have to – if you want to run the ball, you have to throw the ball to run the ball. It's a numbers game. Like, all you got to do is be able to – as a defender, I can stop the run. Right? People forget.
Well, except for the Browns.
Yeah, you're right. That's crazy, right? That's crazy.
That's a good one.
Every other team can. The quarterback doesn't block anybody, right? So that's one guy off. The running back can't block for himself. That's another two.
Right.
So at the core, all you got to do is have enough people in the box, and your force defender or your run defender is going to be unblocked. And if he's a good tackler, you will get tackled. Now, here's the thing. If you can go out there and you can throw the football, you come out in the passing. I'm a big fan of doing this, running the ball out of traditional passing formations. I can come out and 4 wide receivers. I can theoretically.
So you want to run the spread?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
also where they're about to go.
Isn't the play action more about the quarterback giving a good fake rather than who the running back is?
No.
I think
they go hand in hand.
I finally have one thing that Baker Mayfield is really good at. He was good at faking. He had a good fake.
He did. And by the way, Deshaun Watson met with Kevin Stefanski last year when they went to pitch him on what they were going to do.
Yeah.
He said, I was sitting there watching tape with Kevin Stefanski, and we were sitting there, and Jimmy Haslam and D. Haslam and Barry were over there. And he said, we got a little bit of time just to talk about football. He said the one thing he coached me up on was he believes that I could carry out my play action fakes better. And he was like, wow, that's crazy. My high school coach used to tell me that all the time. He said, yes, when you carry out your fakes better, it freezes defensive ends, it freezes the linebackers, and it gives you an extra step to run the ball or to do what you need to do.
Yep.
And I thought that was pretty great. I do believe that you have to throw the ball to set it up. I do believe that if you could run out of traditional shotgun formations with your running back and you're diligent with it, you can get run and pass off. However, the Browns haven't done that in the past, and Nick Chubb actually struggles a little bit running the ball out of shotgun.
Well, he did last year.
Yes.
Now, they haven't really run that type of offense with him, so
they haven't.
We don't we talk about other players having to adjust. We never think about a running back having to adjust. Mm-hmm. But he's got to make an adjustment because
maybe they should go to the pistol.
I like the pistol too.
Yeah. I mean, because there's still a downhill. If he's a downhill guy, I mean, that's essentially still downhill. He just catch it, turn around, hand it.
Yeah,
they're still in the spread.
Right, that's true.
They can run pistol.
I mean, I do think their offense is going to be a lot different. I think
they got no choice.
It's going to be a lot more shotgun centric, and to his credit, if they're going to be able to run that and they're going to be able to change it up, I just think they have to kick it in high gear. You can't. A lot of stuff that they were doing, where you got 3 or 4 tight ends, that's done.
No.
That's finished. That's done.
The only time I want to see more than one tight end is 4th and inches and on the goal line.
That's it.
Otherwise, I don't want more than one tight end on the field.
Yeah.
If the Browns had David Njoku and Travis Kelce, fine. They don't. They got one tight end.
Hernandez and Gronkowski. I was watching.
Okay, I'm okay with those.
Boy, was they destroying people. I was in the time machine on that one a couple days ago.
But for the guys, for them to be successful, if they want to be a pass-first offense, which we'd like to see because you have an elite quarterback, or at least a guy who was elite. Although Malcolm Jenkins said some interesting things.
He did.
He thinks people have maybe overhyped a little him in Houston.
Oh no, Malcolm Jenkins thinks that Deshaun Watson's overrated. Listen.
That's kind of what he said.
He kind of was like, "Come on, bro." I mean, he was balling in Houston, but he really wasn't doing nothing in Houston.
Yeah, right. That's what he's saying.
I heard that.
Players like him don't give a rat's ass with the PFF grades.
No.
He's like, were you winning?
Yeah.
No.
That's a great question.
You weren't winning. But obviously, the obvious one is Watson's got to play better. But, so many people have come on this show and said defensive tackle, linebacker. But you and I keep saying, if this offense is going to be dynamic, you got to get more weapons in the passing game.
Yeah.
I think Cleveland, I think the Browns have been so far in the Stone Ages.
Oh, my God, yes.
Like with the way offense runs.
Yeah.
they think that you got one receiver and they got 1,100 yards, and they're like, oh my gosh, guys, we got a receiver. You're like, that's one receiver. Then Donovan Peoples-Jones, to some people, he is not. He is not Jerry Rice. This is not this is not Taylor on the other side of Rice. Like this is not Harper on the other side of Irving.
No.
Like that's not the thing. And people overinflate all the time. And I'm like, you got a decent tight end. You got a nice little complimentary receiver. It's not doing too much. You got to get another. And I'm saying another one or two.
So you in on the Hop thing?
Bro, I mean,
I'm Brandon Cooks for me.
I would take Hopkins. I would take Cooks.
So okay, because I wasn't here for this. Did y'all talk about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't here for that one. So I'd rather Cooks as well.
Yeah.
But Hopkins, I wouldn't want to keep DPJ and Hop because I essentially think they like the same guy.
My feeling on Hopkins is if the Browns traded for him, I'm not going to kill him.
Yeah.
Not at all. You getting a playmaker.
I think Cooks is a better fit.
I agree. Because that's what we need
He's
the
the
blaze.
speed guy.
Yeah. I would listen. I'm a mercenary at this point.
You want
listen. I'm Fast and the Furious 10 over here. Give me any.
I want two wide receivers.
Two.
I want one proven guy like Cooks, and then give me one of these wide receivers who's like a wild card guy who has some talent.
Oh, Paris Campbell.
I like him too.
Whatever, somebody like that, right? Like where it's a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe he's got some upside, and at worst, he's a third, fourth option that's decent.
Or he can get behind somebody 2 or 3 games, and he may only have 300 yards, but he got 3 touchdowns on big plays.
By the way, Paris Campbell, he fits the mold. He is, I think, he like 26. He's still young. So.
But if David Njoku and Donovan Peoples-Jones are the second and third options in the passing game, the Browns' offense is not going to be dynamic. Now, if they're third and fourth, I can live with it. I'd like them to be fourth and fifth, honestly, or at least third and fifth.
That is not dynamic.
So y'all gave up on David Bell.
Oh, he wasn't dynamic when
I'm
he
not
came
completely giving him up.
So you wrote him off.
I can't rely on him.
He's C- speed.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Tyvis, you locking him
wait
down.
a minute, hold on, because that's not fair to say. It's a lot. Wes Welker was a C- speed. You got all these guys that thrive. Cole Beasley is a C- speed.
They got elite change of direction. They had nice.
And that's what I say. I say he needs to get with Amari Cooper this offseason
But you know what?
and completely find out how to run routes.
I'll worry about David Bell down the line.
Yeah,
I'm not cutting him.
Oh, no. I'm not saying to cut him out.
I'm not relying on him.
He's a gunner.
He gonna be the guy. Watch this preseason. He gonna be on preseason
Mike, you got
all the
one
way.
more clip, right?
Gunner.
We got 1 or 2 depending on how much time. But real quick, just want to remind everyone that the 12 o'clock lunch hour is sponsored by Colleague Racing.
Yes, it is.
Colleague Racing, your Northeast Ohio NASCAR
We want to get
team.
to this. Sorry, finish that line. Go ahead.
We got 2 clips. This next one is about Nick Chubb.
And we want to get to our new game.
We have a new game too.
Yeah.
We love Nick Chubb. The fans love Nick Chubb.
Yes.
And Kevin Stefanski loves Nick Chubb. Play it, Steve.
Are you open to putting on your play sheet next year, just as a reminder? You know how Matt Nagy has BU? You should just have run the damn ball.
I hear, that's definitely something that I'll hear. You know, it's a refrain of our fans oftentimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, score points.
Yeah.
I want to write that on the call sheet.
That
like,
works too.
Any which way you can.
But what about this for analytics? Teams that run the ball more win at a higher rate in the NFL than teams that run the ball less.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Yeah, is that the whole causation versus?
Yes.
Yeah, it is,
Yes.
but it's also true.
Yeah.
So
You know, I remember somebody
You are
once
an
said
Ivy
they're
League
like,
guy. That was very smart.
they said when Nick Chubb rushes the ball this many times, you win. I'm like, we should start the game with 24 straight Nick rushes. And
Yes.
see what happens.
Yes.
We may be down by a couple scores, but you know.
Yeah.
he seems like a good guy. When I watch the mic'd ups with Chubb, he doesn't really say anything. He's just like breathing hard, and then occasionally be like, "Yeah," after like a good play. Is he more talkative than that around you, around people that he knows?
He's definitely more talkative when he's comfortable. Nick is a unique person. I mean, he's a man of few words, and I always tell people like, he's not low maintenance. He's no maintenance. He shows up. He doesn't wear gloves. You know, he kind of is always what he's supposed to wear out at practice. He's in stretch lines. Like whatever you ask him to do, he's just going to do it. But he's got personality off the field. I just don't think he lets people in very easily.
Mm-hmm. So have you ever given the speech like if we had 53 Nick Chubbs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I get around town. I always get Nick Chubb's my favorite player. I'm like, mine too.
Yeah.
You know what? Before we go, I'm with G. Busher. There's no way that they're better than us.
No.
I see.
I didn't say they were better than us. They're just bigger than us.
I see it too. Like I swear we better than that.
WKYC.
They've been around a while. We've been around not even a year.
They just had their 7-year anniversary.
We need that budget. We need the big time budget.
We're still 2 months from our
we
first
gotta,
anniversary.
yeah, we're gonna get that first. Listen, we're gonna catch y'all in year 3.
We gotta have a big. By the way, for the first anniversary, we gotta have a big show.
Yeah, we do.
We will.
What day of the week is that?
May 9th. I don't know what day of the week.
No, I know it's May 9th.
Be a
but I didn't know what day of the
Wednesday. Be a
week.
Wednesday. Be a
Well,
Wednesday.
I will say that
It's a Tuesday.
Dang! I'm
we gotta
coming
get
in
time to
anyway.
decide.
Tyvis, just pull up.
I'm coming in unannounced.
You owe me too. You will pay me for that day. By the way, Big Nuggets, I'm gonna tell you about what you know. Here's a crazy thing, man. No, this is just off the record. Hey man, Stefanski, you could be out here winning, man. Stefanski, if he get a little personality, man, he getting everything in the bars. Like you see his little lined up beard. I'm like, oh man, he got the salt and pepper joint going.
I've seen him around Rocky River.
I said, oh,
he ain't got.
He's getting. Listen, he's getting all. Listen, I don't know. You have a happy home with 3 little small children, but I'm telling you, you could be winning.
The only time I saw him around Rocky River was at his daughter's basketball game.
He gave a shout out to the Irish barber in Rocky River during the interview too.
He did. Do we have one more clip? Is that the Irish barber, or should we blow it off?
No, but Steve, if you pull up, this is something you've hit on before.
Oh.
Pull up.
By the way, real quick, I love that Stefanski made fun of the stat that always bothered me.
He does.
About the carries.
He should do that all the time. Look, I like him even more. I don't even want him fired today.
See? Geez, fall in love with Stefanski.
I don't even
all
want him
over
fired
again.
today,
Just
bro.
today. What about
just today? Then tomorrow
It might be something different.
You better be talking to me every day.
Yeah.
So we got 2 more quick ones. The game's not going to take super long. But, this is why what we do is different than Cleveland media in general and most media. Now, he sat down for 40 minutes with Part of My Take and did this interview. You can ask some silly questions, have some fun with the guy in that setting. You can't ask that at a press conference after the game.
Yeah.
You can't ask him about getting his haircut in Rocky River after they just lost to the Jets in week 2. So it's a very different.
That's a dope question. See? He don't even got to take us that serious. Like, we just commentators. I'm never going to ask you no questions.
Well, G, you're going to love this next one then. Steve, play this next clip. This is about the COVID.
So are you superstitious at all?
Not really. No, I don't think so.
Okay, because that would explain for why you didn't sit out the second playoff game after you had COVID against the Steelers, because I would have sat that out if I were you.
Yeah.
We gave you credit for that, by the way.
Yeah. Have you won a playoff game?
Technically, yes.
Oh.
Maybe no. Does that count? If I wasn't there.
We gave you credit, and then a bunch of Steelers fans were like, he wasn't even on the sideline.
I don't care. Yeah. I know this, that it was the most surreal. Now, it happened the next year, but it wasn't a playoff game. I missed the game. We were playing the Raiders at our place, but I can't describe to you how weird it was. Like, out-of-body type stuff where you're watching your football team play in a playoff game. You're in your basement, you're sick, your family's upstairs. It was just the strangest time.
You actually had a quote after that I loved, that you said that it was harder to watch the games than be in the games.
100%. Yeah, and that's,
I
get it.
We know.
No, I get it. I was pacing up and down. I have the call sheet in front of me, which I don't know why, and I'm trying to figure out what they're calling next. And that's why if you guys were on the sideline and you're calling plays, you have the power over. You can make decisions. So it's the nervous energy is not there when you're in the moment calling plays. I was so nervous going up and down. It was incredible.
Yeah, I like how they say we know, like they were coaching and now they're doing.
But like Malcolm Jenkins said, he said when you're playing, he said when you're watching your team and you at home, and you're not, it's crazy. He said, I don't know how y'all do it.
It is. It's definitely
tough being a
total
fan.
difference.
Now,
I love when the coaches always were like, we want to win as much as you do. No, you don't.
No.
You're going to another team at some point.
Jason Lloyd's house is on the line. You do not want to win more than we want to win. And by the way, on top of that, he's never giving up play calling. Did you see what he described? He said, man, listen, usually we got the play call sheet. You could affect something.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you just pace it up and down the stairs. Can you imagine Stefanski with no call sheet? Oh, man. Looking at Van Pelt talk about what we running on this play?
They can forget about that.
Oh, they forget about that. He's never giving that up. He's
you got one more clip, Mikey?
We do. And, G, this is how the interview started. Can you imagine this being the first thing you ask somebody in an interview setting, especially a head coach of a professional football team? Steve, play it.
We now welcome on very special guest. It is head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. Thank you for coming on, Coach. Do you want to do the hard question first or the easy question?
Hard one.
All right, let's rip it off. All right, so we sometimes like to just be honest with our guests, things that we've said. So I'm going to read a tweet to you from December 26, 2022. It says, Browns versus Saints was a battle of who can be the dumber piece of shit head coach. somehow Dennis Allen came to his senses before Stefanski. Thoughts?
Fair. Yeah. Fair. I mean, when you lose, everything's fair game. So fair. I'd agree.
Well, there were 2 losers in that game. Do you remember how that played out? That
Yes.
was the game.
I do. Yeah.
That was the game
hope.
where I think everybody that was watching it was just screaming at the TV, no matter who you rooted for, run the damn ball.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't you run the damn ball?
It was hard in that game to run the damn ball. They knew that it was very hard to pass, so they were bringing safeties very close to that line of scrimmage. So you're thinking, all right, the wind's died down. We got the wind with us. Let's try this. Obviously, it didn't work. So then you work backwards. You're like, okay, what could we have done differently? And yes, running the damn ball in some situations would have helped in that game.
I would love to see him do that with G. Bush.
Listen, this is crazy.
If he came in, he would do it with us. We'd have a blast with him.
G. Bush, you tell her what you said.
Oh man,
He should be fired. I'm done with him right now.
No, I would ask him. I would say, listen, Coach. Obviously, you're sitting here with you're honest as hell with us, bro. We appreciate this right here, man. But I did a clip of you in your press conferences in the post game after you lose, and you sound like Shermer, Mangini, Romeo Cornell. You sound like Chudzinski, and I'd run the greatest hits, and they would be like, he was like, yeah, you're right. Hey, guess what? I do have a video about that. They all sound the same. But listen, you got McNuggets. You got to take into consideration here. Doesn't he come off a little more likable?
A little, way more. I mean, infinitely more.
Like
You didn't like him? You didn't like him before?
Hell no. Like,
I kind of liked him. We had interviewed him before on the radio, and I had good interactions, but he was really good. He was really good
right there.
And they did do a nice job with him, and it was a good interview, and we'd love to have him on. But anyway.
Now, we've asked, just for the people out there, we have made several requests to the
he's coming on.
Yeah, we'll get it.
He's coming on.
All right, memberships, Mikey. We got to talk about memberships.
We do have to talk about memberships because if you're not already a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, you are missing out on some high-quality content for $1.99 a month, less than $2 a month, less than $24 for the entire year. You get loyalty badges, custom emojis, community posts on the members-only tab, and that's the first tier. The second tier, the coaches tier, it is $4.99 a month. You get all those same starter tier perks, plus overtime videos, member shout-outs, discount codes for merch. You get the text with Jason Lloyd for select Cavs game. We're talking about Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, and some of these other quarterback contracts in overtime today.
All right.
And as G. Bush always says, that's not all you can do.
Free. Hit that like button. Ooh. Hit that like button. And I'll tell you what. By the way, if we get, how many more we got to get before we get to the new G. Bush emojis?
I think it was 11 the other day, so I'm not sure what the exact number is.
Hey,
right
stop playing. Give somebody. They won't even let me have access to the emoji.
That is true.
Somehow
That's real
they
right
like
there.
stole it. I can't even use it in other platforms. I'm under a 360 deal, so I need y'all to go ahead. I need y'all to go ahead, unlock that so we can get that popping.
Not a 360.
All right. Well, normally on Wednesdays, guys, we play true or false. But after we embarrassed ourselves last week and lost to Mikey McNuggets.
That's sad. Y'all, that's
from
pathetic.
Anthony's terrible questions.
That's pathetic.
Now we're deciding to play a new game instead. The three of us know nothing about.
It ain't the one we played yesterday?
No.
It is
No, it's a
not
different
keep
game.
cut trade.
All right,
You
well,
missed
let's
that game yesterday, Ty.
We played with Tyvis in the production meeting.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, go ahead.
So in my infinite wisdom to think of new ways to talk about stuff on the show,
Yeah.
I thought of a fun game. Hopefully it's fun.
Okay.
You have played Would You Rather before?
Yes,
Would you rather
sure.
this or that? So we're going to do that. Sports and Life edition.
Okay.
Together.
All
Sports and life. I like that.
5 questions. Are you ready for the first?
Yes.
We are ready.
Question number 1, and individually answer.
Okay.
Would you rather the Browns win the Super Bowl or 3 years of world peace?
I mean,
This is very easy.
it's the Browns
Win the
Browns
Super
win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The peace is going to end in 3. If you had said 50 years of world peace, I might go for it.
I
but
mean, listen.
3?
I mean, the 3 years of world peace is overrated.
If the Browns win the Super Bowl, it will be world peace in Cleveland.
Yes. It will be. We'll
Or
be
peace in
united on one
Cleveland.
run front.
For at least a week.
You guys are all saying the Browns.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we asked Jay before he went to Arizona. Let's see what Jay had to say.
Wow, that one's messed up, man.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Well,
man.
listen, I've been without a Super Bowl for 57 years, but in none of my 57 years have we had world peace. So give me world peace for 3 years. I know what it's like to live without a Browns Super Bowl.
Bad sports fan?
That's a well-educated answer.
Hey, listen, that's
I feel like that's the politically
That's
correct.
a politically correct answer for sure.
Listen, he's okay. He can live in his house and be sequestered. He be fine. He good. He good. Forget the world peace, bro. I'm straight. Let's get that Super Bowl, bro.
Where he stay at?
Willy Wonka Lane.
His house was very nice.
Bro, this dude got he got.
I gotta go. I'm going.
He got Oompa Loompas.
The next event he's at, I gotta go.
He got Narnia. You go through a closet.
Is he doing something for
What's funny is
St. Patty Day?
What's funny is Jay is a straight white Christian male, so he's got it all, right? So he's got there's no discrimination for that.
And there's always world peace.
Here we got a Jew and two black guys. Like, we should want the world peace. We're in the most danger.
Hey, where Jay live, everything is good. Hey, it's been world peace over that way for weeks.
Straight white Christian males always got world peace.
That's a fact, though. That's a fact.
That's a fact. I'm like, it's peaceful as hell.
What's the next question, man?
What's the problem? My life's good. All right, Mike, number 2.
We took bets before. Don't take it, Steve. We took bets before on what you guys would guess on these. Bull, I'm shocked you didn't take world peace.
If you had told me 50 years, 100 years, the rest of the time,
3 is light.
then I would have said.
That's only like 1,200 days or something.
Bull just made probably the most valid point I've ever heard on this show. That us 3 should want world peace.
I mean, we need it. Our people need it, man.
You got Earl crying back here.
The Earl laugh is underrated, right?
It is.
How much can you guys hear Earl's laugh?
It's loud.
Up, I hear
it loud.
Earl, like 2 famous laughers in the sports media in this area. Paul Hoynes of Cleveland.com and Tim May, who covers the Buckeyes. Those guys have world-class laughs, but Earl's moving into that category.
But on volume, Emmett Golden is at the top of the food chain. Emmett Golden got the crazy volume on the laugh.
I remember his laugh. I don't.
Is that the guy who they say I sound like? No, that ain't him. That's
No,
not
you
him.
don't sound like him.
Tyvis has a good laugh too.
You do kind of
Tyvis
sound
does
like
a really good laugh.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for question number 2?
Number 2. I like that. Let's go. Here we go.
Bull, this one's catered for you.
Oh boy.
But everyone answers. Would you rather the Guardians actually trade a handful of their top prospects for a bona fide superstar, or win all your bets during March Madness?
No, the second one.
Ooh.
But you don't know that you're going to win them all till they actually hit. So you have to go through the stress of all of March not knowing.
The second.
What?
I mean,
if I'm betting, I'm betting the house. So
I got to take number 2 because then I can change my life.
Yeah, he can put his kid through college twice if he does it right.
I really want number 1, but I'm taking number 2 because then I could, It's like, have you guys seen all the Back to the Future movies?
Yes, but I have not. They're so time travel movies get me.
Right,
so go ahead.
But remember, they're in like I think it was the second one. Biff steals that encyclopedia.
Yes.
And he becomes rich because he bets on all these sports. Like, that could be us
Yes,
if we
that
knew
could.
the results.
I'm going to go ahead and take the March Madness one. Even though I'm not a gambler, I might get divorced.
Yeah.
Like, I think if
I'm not a gambler either.
I'm not a gambler either. But if I'm gonna win them, I mean.
But if I have to, if she sees the money out of the account.
Yeah.
Like anything over, like I think she would cry. Like she would literally break down. Like
it's not gambling if you know you're
gonna win. But she don't know though.
Yeah,
so
true.
it's like
I'm gonna let you know something. If Jay go the other way, I'm gonna look at him differently.
All right.
Roll the
Do
clip.
you guys actually want to hear Jay's answer?
Yes, I do.
Jay 100% said the first one.
No, he didn't.
Without a doubt.
No, he did
Hey,
not.
watch
That's
this.
because
No,
Jay's
he
got
didn't.
the bag already.
Hey,
That's true.
This is
That
proof.
is true.
This is proof he has the bag. Let's get to the bullet footage.
Well, all my bets would include filling out the bracket sheet and getting all 68 picks right. So give me that one. Because, again,
Wow.
there's no guarantee that superstar would get us to a World Series, and I know what it's like to live without winning a World Series.
Wow.
If I win all my March Madness bets, I'm buying an island somewhere. So give me the left.
That shocked me. I was surprised.
But
He's buying an island.
But do you see how far he went? So you
Island. We ain't even thinking island. I'm thinking clearing family debt. No, okay. He talking about buying island.
I'm thinking I'm paying off my house.
I'm still paying off Sprint. I'm still playing on Sprint and T-Mobile. They like, sir, you owe us $1,400 for that Motorola
You got out your plan early?
I'm paying off my student loan from 30 years ago that I still owe. How do I still owe 20 grand? I'm 51 years old. I still owe 20 grand.
And you've been playing every month.
I've been paying that for 20 years. It never goes down.
I thought they canceled student loans.
Nah, they blocked
They're supposed to, but the freaking Republicans, no offense.
Next question.
Next question.
No offense, Republicans.
Money is involved in the next question as well. Steve, take it full. Would you rather have Deshaun Watson be the Browns quarterback for the next decade or free gas and groceries for an entire year?
Listen, put the camera.
This is easy.
Listen, this is a serious question?
This is easy.
Listen, I love the Cleveland Browns, but if I ain't got to pay for gas and groceries, that's a no-brainer.
I would have did it just for the groceries.
I got kids that got me going to the grocery store every 2 days.
I'm not even going to say how much I spend on groceries because it's an absurd amount.
That's what I'm saying.
But, like, I'm thinking that's gonna be like, I don't know, 20 grand total? Maybe not that much, but
if Watson's the quarterback for a decade, it means he has to be really good.
No, I don't.
That's true.
No, I don't.
They're not keeping him for a decade.
I'll be okay Watson being quarterback for 8 years.
They keep him for at least 5.
Let Watson be quarterback for 8 years.
Facts. Do you know, like, you could probably offset that. You almost live, like, you could drive everywhere and just fill it up. You could eat everything and just get more.
So what are you picking?
That's true. You'd spend even more. I'd be buying lobster, shrimp, steak.
So everybody's picking gas and groceries.
Yes, 100%.
So we asked Jay this question.
Jay. This one, Jay said.
I looked at Earl after the question and said, "This is the rich man answer."
Okay, yeah.
Take it, Steve.
Give me Deshaun Watson for the next decade. That means he's good. We're not going to keep him around if he sucks. And gas and groceries for a year, you're basically asking me, would I pay that price to make sure we have a really good quarterback for 10 years? Every time I would, yeah.
I should walk off the set. I should walk off the set, man.
By the way, if I got the free groceries and gas for a year, on like the last couple of weeks, I'd be storing up gas.
Oh, yeah.
I'd buy the whole super. I'd put it out of business.
Bull will be roping up the gas station like
last day.
And by the way, I'm going to Costco. This way I can buy I could buy like a giant fridge from Costco or Walmart and buy a fridge, and then I'm putting more food there.
And then you can have them delivered to your house.
Had that deep freezer that everybody needs.
Adam the Bull would have a world supply of canned sardines in his closet.
I would.
For the apocalypse. It'd be the stinkiest Rocky River house of all time.
Them sardines with some hot sauce back in the day.
That is a very good idea. This is easy. Easy. Now talk to us in about 5 years.
Yeah.
We might be all making a lot more money, and then we can pawn it off.
I wish Jay was here. I wish Jay was here to defend himself on that one.
Nope, I don't. It's
Next
funny.
one. Next one was designed for G and Tyvis in mind.
Okay.
Would you rather have LeBron come back to Cleveland for one more title run with Bronny, or a guaranteed #1 pick for the chance to draft Victor Wembanyama?
Oh, that's easy.
I don't know nothing about no Victor Wembley.
You were trading for him yesterday.
I was.
You literally traded Mobley for him yesterday.
But I'm just saying, if you got LeBron back, if you say, give me LeBron back today, the Cavs is winning like 3 straight.
I'm definitely taking the first one. This Wembanyama, whatever the hell his name is.
Wembanyama, man. Y'all gonna put some respect on his name. Wembanyama.
Wembanyama.
His name is Wimbledon. Victor Wimbledon, if he like...
Hey, put it back up. It's exactly how it's spelled.
I don't know.
Victor Wembanyama.
Y'all got
Wembanyama.
I'm saying it right.
Wembanyama.
All you AAU guys, y'all better find a name for him.
Wembanyama.
By the way,
how can you not say Wembanyama?
I feel like this conversation reminds me. Did you ever see that movie Blended with Adam Sandler, where he goes to Africa with what's her name? Drew Barrymore. They're like 2 families. Nobody's ever seen this?
I only watch Air Up There.
Is it? That sounds like some Netflix stuff.
Air Up There is good.
No, it came in the theater, but a lot of his movies are Netflix.
Yeah. No, I don't know that
movie. Anyway, I would definitely take LeBron and his kid. I want the other kid too, Bryce. Let's go, bring Bryce in here too.
So can I give my answer?
Tyvis, please give me Victor. One of y'all have to disagree.
My answer is I would take LeBron. Why? Because it actually comes with the championship. If you get Victor Wembanyama, as great as he is, as great as a prospect he is, it doesn't guarantee you a championship.
Plus,
Politically,
guys that big,
that's a
I'm
Jay
always worried
answer.
they're
He
getting
probably
hurt.
gonna say the
By the
same
way,
thing.
it might be one of the greatest starting lineups of all time. You got Jared Allen, you got Mobley, LeBron, Donovan Mitchell, and Garland.
And you gotta bench Mitchell for Bronny, bro.
And then you got
Bronny is a 6th man.
And then you got Bronny, who's apparently better than a lot of the people
I got
in the,
Bronny
in the
and Bryce
on League
coming off the bench.
Pass.
Apparently,
He's better than everybody on League Pass.
he's the next coming of Gary Payton.
That was overtime yesterday, Tyvis.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we told him, man. Hey,
You want to see Jay's answer?
I thought you were saying it's next coming to Gary Coleman.
No,
Yeah, let's roll it.
Wow, that's disrespectful.
Steve, take Jay's answer here.
LeBron.
Remember Gary
Comes
Coleman?
back.
Is he still alive, Gary Coleman?
Because he's a proven commodity.
Who is that digging in the bag?
Yeah, who's digging in the bag?
That's Earl. That's the office upstairs. Tyvis between two.
That was
phones.
Earl trying to take from Jay's bag.
He was like, I know he
Jay got the bag.
He's like, I know he got something.
His wallet is in here.
No, he has loose bills hanging out. No,
We got one more.
Yeah, that's definitely easy.
Okay.
Are you ready for the last
We've
one?
been in agreement on all of these.
I'm shocked. Honestly, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Our bets were way off on this.
All right.
Take the last one, Steve. Would you rather have Kevin Stefanski give up play calling duties, or let your wife cut your hair for the rest of your life?
First one, it ain't even close.
I don't want either.
One.
You got to pick.
I'd rather have my wife cut my hair. She's cut my hair before.
Yeah, he got the buzz cut down. There's no way. White people don't really know about black hair. What do you think Asians know about black hair?
They don't know anything.
One.
None. They'd be like, yeah, I'm not letting
got the close up.
I'm not letting my wife cut my hair.
You see?
No. Would you let your wife cut your hair?
No.
Would you let her get your beard
Never.
together?
Never.
Yeah.
My wife claimed that she could lie. She was like, I can line you up. I'm like, no, I love you.
Your wrist ain't ready.
I'm
Hold it
cool.
tighter. No. See. By the way,
Yeah.
Now
do you use a razor or the clippers on your beard?
He's got a barber.
I go to the barber to do it.
Oh, so does she use razor or clippers?
She uses both. She used the razor
to finish
to do the line.
Yeah.
And then uses the clippers
To shave it
to
down
Take
and-
some of this off.
yeah.
Some of the bulk.
Listen, what I'm gonna do is when y'all get y'all's beards trimmed, save that hair because I'm gonna put it on my cheeks
All I'm going to say is,
because my joint is.
Now that would be funny.
Yeah,
my wife,
I'll mix it up in a bag and put paste and then just sit here.
when I go bald, my wife could definitely shave my head, though.
There you go.
There it is.
All right, that was a fun game.
Jay answered, by the way. What do you
yeah.
think Jay said, by the way?
One.
Jay said he wants Stefanski. He wants Stefanski to give him.
He wants to. Yeah, so he's definitely going.
I thought that was the worst question of them all.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Oh, it was number 5 for a reason. If we
Yeah.
had to cut one for time, now
The
is one.
rest
Let's
were
play
good.
Jay's answer. We got 4 minutes
Yeah.
for Tyvis' final take.
I would rather Stefanski give up play calling. I mean, this is already messed up. It can't be any more messed up. So, yeah.
Now I'm distracted by Earl in the
I
back.
know, you can't help but look at it.
It's like a raccoon back there stealing food. Like
Whose bag is that? Earl's
Earl's
bag?
bag.
Earl's
Okay.
bag. It's Earl's
you'll
bag.
never miss this.
Oh my God. All right, guys. Well, that was fun. I think we could have a lot of fun with that game.
Oh,
No, we're gonna do it again for sure.
I like
we should
that.
do some that's like non-sports versus non-sports.
Yeah, that
like really funny, bizarre
that'd
things.
be
we could get very deep. I just wanted to start
Like
it
for
off
$1 million,
in the
would you
realm.
rather
Yes.
kill someone or live in a box for a year? You know what I mean?
Or
Take
here's a
them
great one.
completely out.
Would you rather rather work on a garbage truck for $100,000 a year, or would you like to sit in a dark room where you got to go 8 hours a day and sleep in a dark room?
For how long?
8 hours.
Every day?
For $100,000?
Yes, every day.
Would you rather work on a garbage truck or sit? I'd rather work on a garbage truck.
I'd be a
than sit
garbage
in a dark
guy.
room.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
sit in a room for 8 hours a day with
In
darkness?
pitch dark.
Oh, give me that one.
So you sit in the.
You're gonna sit in the pit with no phone,
no phone,
nothing.
no
Is
nothing.
sleep an option?
No.
No, you gotta stay up.
gotta stay
I
up.
can do that. Yeah,
I would lose my
this is
mind.
funny because they asked me this I said this on the radio, and I don't know if
Yeah.
I should have, but they were saying, since Aaron Rodgers did the darkness thing,
Yes, yeah.
they were saying, could you do that for $1 million for, they didn't put like a time limit on it. And I said, they said, how long could you go for $1 million? And I said, well, my sister was in jail and she was in the hole for a week, so she could do that. Then I know I'm good for at least a week.
So
Did she at least have like a little window or no?
Where they
just
slip
total-
your meal in.
Yeah.
That's about it. I asked them, like, how do you survive in that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know what time it is? And they say you think about when the meals come. So obviously the meals come every day, 12, 5. So if they slide a meal in, you know it's.
I don't think anybody should ever be in isolation.
I'd have to do. I've worked in the garbage truck for like 3 months, but I would literally have to. I'd probably have to take the garbage truck over the 8 hours just sitting in a dark room.
All right, Tyvis, did you have a quick final take? We have like 60 seconds, or
and
no?
by four Tyvis final take, one last reminder that
Nope.
Colleague Racing is sponsoring the 12 o'clock hour. Colleague Racing, NASCAR's official Northeast Ohio team.
All right, coming up.
Tyvis.
Tyvis said no, or he could do it.
Come on, I'll do it quick. Come
Go
on,
ahead.
real quick. I'll make it real
Go ahead,
quick.
go to him. There we go.
We don't roll the thing no more?
No, we only have 60 seconds. Tyvis, go.
My final take is this. I was one of those guys that's always been about you need to work, no break. And it wasn't until I just took this last break recently with my wife for the 7 days. Obviously, y'all know I went on the cruise. I realized the importance of taking that break is. I was able to hit that reset button. You know, when you got 2 kids at home, you know, things is always on the go for me. There's always opportunities happening, and I never take the time out to really just sit back and appreciate life and appreciate my wife. So it was great for my marriage to finally just spend some one-on-one time with no kids and just focus on my wife. And I seen her just smile, and it made me happy. So it's good for your marriage. At the end of the day, the message is to take breaks, especially when you got kids. Take one-on-one time with your wife or your significant other and really embrace each other, because you don't want to be that couple that's only together for the kids.
You never know when that time's going to run out. Great advice from Tyvis. We'll see you in overtime. Talk about the other big NFL moves next.
Yeah.